All right, folks, this is going to be another live Oklahoma weather alert here. William Cole in the Forecast Center. We want to check in with our team of trackers, Mike Russ. He's still down here on this storm around Apache, and there's been a little area of spin. There may be a little spin up here just over the last couple minutes. We want to go to his video, and we want to bring him back on the live line. Officially, there's no tornado warning in effect. This storm did produce at least a hopscotch tornado earlier this evening. But again, Mike, you're on the live line. And let's go ahead and get you pulled up here and go ahead and give us a live update. We'll also go and get your video pulled up here as well. But Mike, go ahead and tell us what's going on down there.
Yes, William. Right across 62, about 4 miles east of Apache, we did have a funnel that did come all the way to the ground. We had a tornado on the ground. It was about maybe 150, 200 yards from us top.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough that we were actually sort of getting hit by the dirt. But it is still very intense.
Hey, Mike, if you guys, can you just hit your video real quick? You may need to reset your video from down there so we can just get it pulled in. So we're kind of analyzing this, taking this moment by moment. So you're just east of Apache, is that correct? Kind of right here in this notch. Tell me again exactly where you guys are.
Yes, we're going to be, well, we can't see now. We're going to be right inside, about 4 miles east of Apache right now.
Okay. Let's go and zoom in a little bit here if we can, Daniel. Let's go and zoom in. And let's go and take a look at our spin rate product. Let's go and take a look at our spin rate product here. And so we're getting a fairly good indication here on radar that there is an area of spin here. There's no doubt about it. Mike, if you guys can, go and hit your stream again. And so that way we can go ahead and get your live shot pulled back up. I know it's fairly dark.
Yes, William.
And okay, so the Weather Service, they just went ahead and reissued that tornado warning. By the way, they just went ahead and reissued that tornado warning. Hey, Mike, I'm not sure if that's your static or if that's Derek's static, but somebody we're getting a lot of wind noise from, and if it's Derek, I need him just to hang up so we don't get that wind noise. And if it's you, Mike, it's okay because I understand you're right there trying to report what's going on. So again, we're kind of taking this moment by moment. We're going to get your shot pulled back up. But again, right now, this is a brand new tornado warning on this storm. And let's see, this is going to be until 7:45 this evening. Again, a brand new tornado warning. And again, this is going to be for Caddo County down here in west central Oklahoma. So Mike, if you're still on the live line, again, you were basically, we just ended our update and you got right back on and said you had one on the ground. And again, the Weather Service just now issuing it as well, the tornado warning. But go ahead and tell us again exactly where you are and exactly what's going on down there.
We were about 4 miles east of Apache, Oklahoma, and we had a small, relatively small, elephant trunk style tornado that came right across 62, about 150, 200 yards from us, close enough that we were getting dust off of it. It was very, very intense rotation. This storm still has very intense rotation right now. There's a lot of wind coming out of this thing right now, and that would be live.
Okay, so for you folks for Cyril and Cement, so for you folks down here in Cyril and Cement, down here in Caddo County, rural towns here, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. And so this is going to be the area of concern right here. Again, Mike just he just confirmed a tornado on the ground. This was maybe 5 minutes ago. It was fairly brief. This storm here has had a history of producing some hopscotch tornadoes. They go down, then they lift. They go down and they lift. This is probably the third one we've had so far this evening. But again, Cyril and Cement down here in Caddo County. Again, this is a brand new official tornado warning now from the National Weather Service. So you folks down there and even in the rural areas around, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions and you need to be doing it right now. So Mike, tell me again, I know you guys are now east of Apache. I know you are closer to Cyril now, but tell me exactly where you are. Also, I know if you can, hit your live feed. I know you're trying to juggle everything going on down there, trying to navigate as well, but your stream is frozen. So if for any reason you can hit it and get it back up, we'd like to see what you're seeing down there. But at least the very latest, again, Mike, even before the warning was out, Mike was reporting that at least brief tornado down there just east of Apache. But Mike, so we're just kind of looking at radar right now. We've still got you on the live line. Again, kind of give us a play-by-play. Tell us what's going on down there, and we'll try and get your video back up as well.
William. We're here on 62. We're going to be just west of Surreal, Oklahoma, and we're having issues with our camera here. So bear with me for just a minute. But we are... It's chiming at me. I don't know why it's chiming.
Okay.
But we're coming down 62 right now, and it's still very intense. We're getting very heavy rainfall right now. We're trying to watch here, but it's power flashes or anything like that.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to say. So as we're looking at this, Mike, and again, you're our eyes on the ground, and it's difficult. It's nighttime. Not optimal conditions to be chasing in. Again, Mike, just as we went off the air, he was literally yelling in my ear that he had something on the ground. He had something on the ground confirmed. We came right back on live, and of course, then the Weather Service, they had also issued their own tornado warning there as well. It looks like it was fairly brief, Mike. I mean, just kind of give us the replay of what you saw. Again, this was maybe 5 minutes ago. Just to kind of set this up, if you're just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, west of the Lawton area, down around Indiahoma and also around Cache, earlier this evening, we did have a couple, at least we had one confirmed report of a tornado south of Indiahoma, and then we maybe had another brief hopscotch tornado around the Cache area. We may have had some intermittent tornadic activity even down around Medicine Park. So this storm, this is the same storm here now up around Surreal and Cement, that it's just been producing a couple brief up and down hopscotch type tornadoes, and it appears that's what just happened again. But again, Mike Russ, he saw it. Again, we basically had it before the Weather Service even had a chance to get the warning out, but it sounded like it had lifted. But this is important information now for our friends down in this part of the state, Cement and Surreal, where there's this brand new tornado warning in effect. But again, Mike, can you, basically, it looks like it's lifted. Is that what you're telling us? Go ahead and give us an update on that.
Yes, William. Right now, we're not seeing anything on the ground. We are led to believe that it was a short-lived tornado. We had to kind of get out of the area with it because it was coming right at us. In fact, we drove quite a ways south and it was still coming at us. But William, it was a smaller elephant trunk style type tornado.
Mike,
a better example than that.
Hey, let me tell you this. So the spin rate down here, it's still fairly impressive, and it's dark down there, Mike. Don't be caught off guard by this either. Again, for our team of chasers down there. But again, Surreal and Cement, the area spin right there, again, still fairly evident on a mesoscan radar. Again, this is our spin rate product, and again, we're seeing the bright greens with that smattering of dark green. That's still a fairly strong indication that if there's not tornadic activity, there's some type of fairly decent spin there. And again, so far the history with this storm has just been brief spin-ups, very quick tornadoes, hopscotch. Mike, man, you know what? I'm telling you what, we've got a yellow, and I've never seen a time when we've had a yellow that we don't have some type of tornadic activity. And so this is going to be north of Surreal now. Hey, let's widen this out, Daniel. Let's widen this out just a little bit, okay? So this is a tight little tornado warning we got here. But, so for our friends over here in Grady County, you're not in the tornado warning. If you're over here in Chickasha, you need to be paying attention now, okay? So if you live in Chickasha, you need to be paying attention to this. This is cranked back up. In fact, this is the strongest spin rate we've had all night. Even when we had the one confirmed tornado south of Indiahoma, this is the strongest spin rate. Let's go to velocities real quick here. And let's go take a look at velocities, man, and look at this couplet. Hey, zoom. Can we zoom in on this just a little bit, Daniel? Mike, it's going to be just north of Surreal, and this is on the ground, folks. Let me tell you what. This is on the ground, and this could be. This may not lift in just 1 minute. Okay, this is a very intense mesocyclone. This is on the ground. There's no doubt about it. This is a tight couplet. And again, also off of our spin rate product, the yellow that we saw there, the smattering of yellow, this is on the ground. It's now north of Surreal. So Mike is, Mike, this is on the ground. Okay, let's go and zoom this out just a little bit more. And even though this is a small tornado warning, they made a very small box here. If I'm up here in Chickasha, you folks in Chickasha, even in Norge, you folks need to be paying attention to this, even Verdon, because this is really cranked up now. This is cranked up and it's wrapped up. Mike, where are you guys at? Are you still around the Surreal area? Tell me where you are right now.
We are coming out of Surreal to the north right now.
And we've got your video back up. Okay, we've got your video. Your video's back up. Folks, don't take this one lightly. This is really cranked up compared to earlier. With those hopscotch, the weaker tornadoes we had earlier, not saying this is a big one, this is really cranked up now. And if you lived in Oklahoma very long, you know bright greens and bright reds not good. So don't take this one lightly. And so this is north of Cyril. It's also going to be north of Cement. But if I'm in Cyril, if I'm in Cement, I'm taking my tornado precautions right now. If I'm in Chickasha, I'm paying extra special attention to this storm. Mike, I know you guys, are you heading north out of Cyril, or give us a live update?
Yes, William, that is correct. We're going to go anything north. That is correct. We're actually going to be turning on Highway 19 north right now. Wait, there's stopped up there. Hold on. Give me 1 minute here, William.
You're fine. I know you guys got to navigate the roads.
Sure we're not in a bad spot here.
Okay, folks, I'm telling you what, even in Norge, you folks in Norge, you're not in the warning. Heads up on this. This thing is wrapped up and it is cranked up. This is the strongest area of spin we've had all night. And the spin rate is only getting stronger. And so this is nighttime. Nighttime tornadoes are never good. And wow. So we're going from yellow to pink. Folks, this is on the ground, okay? So this is not a possible tornado. I've locked onto it. This is on the ground, and it's been on the ground now for at least a couple minutes. It's not necessarily in any hometowns. This is a fairly rural area, but there are houses here. This is on the ground, and this continues to track northeast. Again, Chickasha being right up in here, not in the warning. This could totally lift and go away, be no big deal. But if I'm in Chickasha, I'm still paying extra special attention. Mike, go ahead. You're still on the live line with us, Mike. Go ahead and give us an update. We're looking at your video. I know you're pulling out of Cyril, but give us a play-by-play.
Yes, William. We're just north of Cyril, maybe in Pile right now. The lightning rate that we're looking back into this is very intense, and actually we're starting to get some what looks like inflow into the knots here. We're not seeing anything on the ground yet. We're not seeing any power flashes or anything like that. Not as of yet. But ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you from our experience with this storm already, this is a very serious storm. Please, if you are in the path of this storm, please get underground like ASAP. This storm does mean business.
Yeah, this is producing tornadic activity.
Even just so intense.
Okay, and I appreciate that update, Mike. We've still got your video there. This is still really wrapped up, folks. And let me tell you what, so, we've had, at least 2 hopscotch tornadoes earlier tonight. They were fairly weak. They lifted fairly quickly. This one has come up stronger. I'm not saying this is a big tornado, but, based off of radar here, this one isn't lifting yet. Okay, so this one's been on the ground now for at least 5 minutes. This is a very strong radar indication of a tornado. It's not moving through any hometowns right now. It's north of Cyril. It's north of Cement. You folks in Cyril and Cement need to be taking your tornado precautions regardless you're in that tornado warning. It's coming up to the end of this tornado watch box. I would imagine that the Weather Service would go and extend that. It might even include Chickasha on the next warning cycle there. But again, right now, the very latest indications are this thing is really wrapped up. This is the strongest rotation we've had. Again, not saying that it's a large tornado, but it does appear it has been producing some type of tornadic activity. Let's go to, hey Daniel, let's go to the spin rate real quick there. And let's go and pull it down a little bit. So the spin rate's eased down some, but we've still got greens and yellows. And, it's been my experience with this product right here. I've never had a yellow where I didn't have a tornado on the ground. So we got all the way up to pink, which is the upper end of it, but we still have a yellow here. So again, you folks over here in Norge, Vernon, and even Chickasha, again, heads up with this storm. So Mike, I know you guys are still pulling out of Cement to the north there. And, nighttime tornadoes are not good. So, we're just kind of having to watch the lightning light up the sky, so to speak, there and see what we can see. But, Mike, you're our eyes on the ground. Give us an update. You're just on the southern sides of this storm. Give us a live update. And we may have lost Mike. I think he's still there, Mike. If you're there, if you can give us an update, give us an update. You may be having to navigate a little bit there as well.
Yes, William, I'm still here. I'm sorry. Yes, we are traveling between Cyril and Cement right now, and we're feeling, we know we're close. I'm almost going to have to agree with you, William, that there's something on the ground. Because with our years of experience, we have seen, actually got emergency personnel up here.
Yep.
I don't know what they're doing yet. Hold on
one
second.
If
we're actually feeling pressure change right now.
Okay. The area of spin,
like our ears are popping.
The area of spin, it's just north of Cement now. Hey, Daniel, let's go back to the spin rate. Let's go back to the spin rate real quick here. And so we've still got yellows, and I know that sounds basic, we got yellows, but what that means, again, with this specific product, again, I've never had, in my experience, I've never had a yellow where I didn't have a tornado on the ground. This has been on the ground now for probably 7 minutes. It's nighttime, they're hard to see. Again, Mike, Russ, they're on the southern side of it. It looks black because, I mean, we're in rural Caddo County. There's no lights, there's no street lights, you can't see anything. We're having to watch the lightning to light up the sky. So, you know, this tornado warning here, this box is super small. But, you know, we have other hometowns like Chickasha, Norge, Vernon, that in general, if this storm holds its current intensity and strength, it's going to be tracking towards Chickasha. So even though you folks aren't in the morning, you need to be paying extra special attention to this. There's some of the emergency lights Mike was talking about. Mike, have you guys seen any damage at all? I don't know if you're going along the exact path of where this storm moved through, but let me know if you guys have seen any damage at all. And again, I mean, we're still just kind of counting on your eyes in the field. I know it's dark. I know even for you, it's hard to see exactly what's going on, but you're right there looking at it. And give us a live update. Again, you're north of Cyril now. You're near Cement. You're looking at this storm. Give us a live update.
Yes, William. We are actually in the town of Cement right now. We haven't seen any damage. However, I'm being led to believe that the rotation hasn't actually made it to Cement yet. Go ahead, William. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Mike. I was talking to Daniel. It looks like the area of spin is easing down. Okay, this was really wrapped up. Okay, the tornado warning continues. We don't want to take away from that. The area of spin, you see it right there. So it's easing down. It's breathing out. It's exhaling. It's north of Cement still. We don't have the bright greens. We don't have the bright reds. And the overall rotation, instead of being super tight like it was, you see how it's like I can't even say it, it's exhaling is what I'm trying to say. You see how it's kind of spreading out there. So the area of spin, it's not as tight, it's expanding out. And as we go back to, let's go back to the spin rate, Daniel. And as we go back to the spin rate, you can see we don't have the yellows, we have the greens. So it's still a tight area of spin there, but it's nowhere near as tight as it was. And in fact, right now, it looks like if there was a tornado on the ground, there's a chance it may have lifted. Now, the tornado warning continues. We don't want to take away from the threat of it. But again, just as we analyze this in real time, you know, it looked like, I would say for about 8 minutes, as we time them here, it looked like about 8 minutes, we most likely had some type of tornadic activity on the ground. It may have just now tried to lift. Again, you don't see the yellows there, and you also saw the rotation. The area of velocity is kind of easing on out. Let's go back to, let's go to reflectivity here as well. And let's go to reflectivity. Let's just go to base radar. Okay, so as we're kind of analyzing this right here as well, so this would be the area of spin right in there. We've still got a fairly decent notch though on it. So Mike, not to again take away from what you're saying. Again, you're kind of our eyes in the field there. I'm trying to kind of relay information as fast as I get it, just like you are there as well. But again, tell us exactly where you are. Are you in Cement now, or tell us where you are exactly? And again, go ahead and give us another live update.
Yes, William, we are actually in Cement. We're still heading to the north here. This is still, I think the whole system has kind of come down in intensity, to be completely honest. Because we were farther south and to the west, we were getting a lot of intense winds after the area of circulation would pass us, and we're not even getting that right now. So this is, I'm led to believe that the intensity, the overall intensity, may be trying to come down again.
Okay, looks like they're going to extend that warning, Mike. Looks like they're going to go and extend that warning, and it might include Chickasha. It's coming out right now, and so new warning here for Grady County, and this is going to be another tornado warning. So they did go and extend that. And so the warning, it's literally coming out right now. So as soon as it populates here, so Norge, Vernon, and Chickasha is included in that new warning. So this is going to be for Caddo and Grady County until 8 p.m. this evening. So brand new tornado warning, and again, this is going to be for Caddo, Grady, both of those counties until 8 p.m. this evening. Brand new tornado warning. Again, Mike, you're on it right there. It looks like the overall intensity has come down some. This doesn't take away from the warning, okay? So the overall intensity has come down some from where we were earlier. But again, this in general is moving right up towards the Chickasha area. So, Mike, tell me again exactly where you guys are. Are you in the Cement area now, or where are you?
We're going to be just like 3 or 4 miles north of Cement right now, William.
Okay, you're in perfect positioning there. And of course, the only problem is when we're talking about nighttime tornadoes, It's hard to see. I mean, it's all dark. You have to kind of wait for the lightning to light up the sky. Let's center up the radar just a little bit here, Daniel. Let's center up there just a little bit. So Chickasha now again officially in the tornado warning. Verdon and also Norge included in the brand new tornado warning until 8 p.m. this evening. Mike, again, even before the first warning was issued on this, he had a report of a tornado on the ground. He saw it, and Mike, you say it was fairly quick. It was down and it lifted, and then it looked like the storm kind of cycled. And it looked like over probably, we went for about an 8-minute period of time where the storm really cranked up. And I mean, from here, it looked like I'd locked onto it. I think we did have a tornado on the ground, just using our radar products. I think we did have a tornado on the ground for about 8 minutes. And then I think it lifted. I think it lifted just north of Cement. And now I think it's trying to cycle back up here. And again, now we have this brand new tornado warning, and it does include the Chickasha area until 8 p.m. Let's go to velocities here real quick. Let's kind of take a look inside the storm. And Mike, if you have anything to add, feel free. And so as we're taking a look at the spin rate here, I'll be honest with you, and this doesn't take away from the warning. The warning's in effect. We got to take the warning seriously, but the spin rate not as impressive as it was, maybe 5 minutes ago. Let's take a look at velocities here as well. And you see the couplet, it's just kind of elongated out. So this doesn't take away from the warning, but I think the threat of an immediate tornado, like we maybe had, 5 minutes ago, I think it's easing down just a little bit. So I say that tongue in cheek, meaning if you're under a tornado warning like Norge, Verdon, and Chickasha, you need to be taking your tornado precautions, because just like what happened with Mike a minute ago, where he had the tornado on the ground, it lasted for maybe a minute, it lifted, but then it really recycled back up, and then it lasted for probably 8 minutes. So these can cycle right back up fairly quickly. And again, the dynamics are such, as we kind of have this window, especially until about 8 p.m. this evening. I mean, there's a tornado watch in effect, even now been extended into eastern Oklahoma for most of the night. Okay, but there's the dynamics in place where if we were going to have tornadic activity, the peak part of that time would definitely be over about the next 30 to 45 minutes, and that's what we've seen as we've had now about 3 or 4 tornado warnings this evening. So again, Mike, you're still right there looking at it. It's still looking just a little more raggedy on radar, which is good. I mean, we don't want any type of tornadic activity. We want this thing to just kind of fall apart and go away. I don't know that that's going to happen that easily, but Mike, you're still looking at it. You're north of Cement. Go ahead and give us a live update with what's going on out there right now.
Yes, William, that is correct. We're not even, actually, I'm going to say I really believe that this storm is starting to come down in intensity. We're not even seeing the lightning that we were, William. It appears that it has started coming down in intensity here. We're not getting the winds we were. We're not getting even the lightning we were. We're still tracking up towards the Chickasha area, so we are still watching this very heavily. However, I do believe that this is a good sign that maybe this storm is starting to weaken.
I'm hoping you're right. I'm really hoping you're right. That would be the best case scenario with the tornado warning in effect. As we analyze these storms, the only thing I don't want anyone to get caught up in when we're saying, well, maybe it's weakening a little bit on radar, when our storm chasers with their years of experience say, well, maybe it's easing down some, it does not take away from the warning. Anytime there's an official warning from the Weather Service, it doesn't matter. You've got to take it serious, especially when it's nighttime. Nighttime tornadoes are the absolute worst. But again, this storm here specifically, even when it was west of Lawton, down around Indiahoma, we had at least a confirmed tornado down there. It was a quick one. And then we had another quick one. It was really just west of Cache. So 2 kind of hopscotch tornadoes. Then Mike had one just east of Apache, another quick hopscotch. And then it went on to produce at least an 8-minute. The way it looked on radar, we'd locked onto it here. It looked like about an 8-minute tornado, and that was going to be just north of Cement. Then it lifted, and now it could be recycling, kind of regenerating, maybe re-strengthening, or again, it could just kind of be easing down. But again, regardless, it's tracking towards Chickasha, a major hometown there in Grady County. And again, you folks there in Chickasha, we get a lot of you folks watching us on Roku and Apple TV down there. You may be watching us on the app at Saturday night, I'm not sure, but you need to be taking your tornado precautions. Again, so wherever you are, if you're down in the Chickasha area, you need to be taking those tornado precautions. You need to be doing it right now. Do not take a nighttime tornado warned storm lightly, and especially a storm that really ramped up. That was really impressive. If you were joining us maybe about 10 minutes ago now, at least off of radar, that was impressive. That storm was wrapped up. That was producing a tornado. It'll be interesting tomorrow to see exactly what happened. That was not really necessarily going through any hometowns, but that was going through some farmland, luckily, and that thing ramped up, and it ramped up quick. So Mike, you're still there. You're still looking at it. Daniel, let's go to velocities real quick. Let's take a look inside this thing real quick here. So, you know, still very loose velocities, nothing really tight. We can still see the area spin. It's a very broad area of spin right there. It's definitely nowhere near as tight as it was, but again, that broad area of spin, you see it tracking right up towards Chickasha. So the big broad area of spin is going to come right up towards Chickasha. Again, nowhere near as tight as it was. Let's take a look at the spin rate here as well. And as we take a look inside the storm, still not super impressive. Again, generally when you get the super bright greens and you start getting some yellows, and we even had pinks a minute ago, once you get on the upper end of that scale, again, it's been my experience with this product here, that once you start getting yellows and pinks, there's never been a time I've seen we've had those colors that we did not actually have a tornado. So this is a computer algorithm. It's different than a lot of radar products. It's called the spin rate. But again, it's been my experience, the yellows and the pinks, once you get there, I've never seen us not actually have a tornado. So I do think we could have locked onto it from here. And again, we did have some tornadic activity there just north of Cement, again, about 10 minutes ago. Real quick, let's go back to our reflectivity, Daniel. And then Mike, I know you're still there. I know it's dark. You're kind of scrambling for information there as well as you're north of Cement. But again, just from your vantage point, your eyes in the field, give us another live update on this tornado warned storm.
Okay, William, yes, we're going to be southwest, I believe, of Ninnekah right now. We're coming up into the Chickasha and Ninnekah areas, and we're in Grady County for sure right now. But it is, again, the lightning actually seems like it may have, just as I said earlier, it came down. I think it was cycling, and it looks like it has come back up. We're starting to see a little more leafy debris and getting a little bit stronger winds again. So that's, again, like you were saying, don't take away anything from these warnings or anything, because these storms can still breathe. And I believe that's what this one was doing on us just then. But I still don't believe it's as strong as it was earlier. I do believe it might be trying to come back up in intensity, but I don't believe it's as strong as it was earlier, William.
And Mike, and that would be good. If that continues to hold, that would be good. I mean, I think I can kind of verify that as well here from radar. Again, that being said, we don't want to take away from the tornado warning. If you live in Chickasha, if you live in Norge, if you live in Verdon, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. There's no way around that. Again, we're just kind of analyzing this in real time, telling you what to expect. So again, I mean, if you're watching us on Roku TV or Apple TV or Amazon Fire TV, which a lot of you folks do down there in Chickasha, we have a lot of people, Chickasha and Lawton, those are hot spots for whatever reason, Enid for us as well. You need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. You can watch us on the app, but whatever it is, go get safe. Yes, we are getting some signals here on radar that maybe the storm is easing down a little bit from earlier. Mike is maybe also seeing that in the field, but just like it looked like it was easing down after it produced that brief tornado for Mike, it really ramped right back up. It almost went into overdrive the way it looked. It produced probably an 8-minute tornado. It looked like it got into overdrive mode. So again, we can't take this lightly. These can ramp right back up. And, you know, that's the thing with Oklahoma weather. You just can never turn your back on it. And, of course, especially not when we're talking about tornado warnings and things like that. Let's go back to velocities here. And let's just kind of keep analyzing the storm. And, again, Mike Russ, our lead storm tracker, if you have anything to add, let us know. So we've still just got this very broad area of spin. So you see the greens, you see the red, bright reds, bright greens. They're not tight. It's just a real broad area of spin. The storm's kind of breathing out. It's exhaling. And, again, but that broad area of spin, it's still centerline track towards Chickasha. So, you know, that's the concern right now, is if this for any reason would start to tighten back up and we maybe got a little bit closer to tornado genesis, not to say it's maybe not producing something now. It doesn't look like it, to be real honest with you, but, you know, again, as these things continue to change, and even with that latest sweep that came in, it almost looks like it is starting to tighten back up. You see the brighter greens, the brighter reds, how they're getting closer to each other. Let's go to the spin rate real quick here as well. And the spin rate's getting more organized. Did you see, you know, maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago when we looked at this, it was kind of spread out, it was kind of elongated. The spin rate's coming back together. The spin rate's coming back together. It's getting closer to Chickasha now as well. Mike, how far to the south of Chickasha are you? From here on radar, at this very moment in time, again, second at a time, you got to take these second by second, it looks like it's maybe trying to ramp up just a little bit, nowhere near the level that it was at 10 minutes ago, nowhere near, but the latest sweep that just came in, there's been a bit of a change. It looks like it's trying to re-intensify, and again, that's been the case with this storm since it was west of Lawton. It ramped up, eased down, and of course, that's generally the case when we're talking about supercell activity in Oklahoma. They're living, breathing things. They ease up and they ease down. Mike, how far south now are you of Chickasha from this storm?
Maybe about, if I had to guess here, William, maybe about 8-9 miles south of Chickasha.
This thing, it is, the last two scans, the last two sweeps that came in, it is ramping up. Okay, so we want to be honest, it is ramping up and it's getting closer to Chickasha. Nowhere near at the level that it was at. Let's go back to velocities real quick here, Daniel. So we're just going to take this second by second. So you can see the area spin. It is intensifying. It's not at that super critical juncture yet, but it is tightening back up. So where we had the broad area of rotation, you saw that a second ago. See how it's tightening back up? The brighter colors, higher velocity winds now getting closer to each other. We're not quite to that critical level according to radar. Tornado warning in effect. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. We may not quite be that critical tornado genesis trying to happen quite yet, but again, we're taking this second by second. But Mike, from here, it looks like it's trying to ramp back up. The rotation's definitely getting more organized, and the not good part of that is it's just west of the Chickasha area. Again, it's dark. You're just south of Chickasha. I know you guys had to jet over to the east just because of the rural roads. So you're coming up probably Highway 81 there is probably what you guys are on. And as the lightning kind of lights up the sky, I know that's what you're having to use to look at this storm. But I mean, are you able to see anything at all right now from your vantage point?
No, William. We're in kind of a wooded area right now, and two, with the rain, we're not seeing much. We're trying to get into a better position. We're about to be on the 277 and 81 junction here, where we'll be coming north. But we are right here with it. As soon as we turn on Highway 81 north, we should get a lot better view of it.
You will. That's exactly. You will. And again, they're just having to navigate these rural roads, and sometimes you get in a few of these counties, it's a little hard to kind of get around. But so he's right there, and yeah, he's just about to turn back to the north, and they'll have a great vantage point of this storm. So the bottom line is tornado warning continues. The Weather Service, they just adjusted their polygon, or the actual warning area, and so it basically now only includes Chickasha, Highway 81. It includes really the far eastern fringes of Norge there. But again, this is basically now in effect for the Chickasha area. And let's go back to velocities. Let's go take a look at velocities again. We're just taking this second by second. If you're just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, this thing had really ramped up, and it had produced what looked like on radar, it looked like it produced maybe a 6 to 8 minute tornado north of Cement. It also produced a brief tornado just east of Apache that Mike had, and then it produced an intermittent tornado down around Indiahoma and also the Cache area. So there's been intermittent tornadic activity with this storm, and it then started to kind of ease down, but it looks like it is rather trying to kind of ramp back on up. Let me go and take a look at the radar here real quick. And let me go and jump in here just real quick. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move the beam around here. And we're just kind of moving the radar beam up with height. We're looking through the mid-levels. And so as we take a look at this, it looks to me, and we'll just wait for the next scan to come on in here. It looks like, the weakening trend had maybe stopped. It doesn't look like it's super intensifying, but the weakening trend, it looked like it had kind of stopped. There's still a fairly prominent area of spin that's going to be moving, and it really does look like it's going to be moving right through the Chickasha area. Right now, it would look like it's most likely not on the ground. That doesn't mean to take it lightly. That doesn't mean to say you're not taking your tornado precautions in Chickasha, but it's just kind of right there at the cusp as far as this spin rate product. Let's go back to velocities real quick. And let's go and take another look at the velocities. But you see, even from just the last couple minutes, they kind of try to tighten up, and now they're kind of breathing out. They're kind of exhaling a little bit. So we'll see. This storm, it's definitely cycling up and down. It's got a fairly vigorous mesocyclone with it. And again, that mesocyclone is going to be pushing right on up through the Chickasha area. So again, if you live in Chickasha, the bottom line, you got to be taking your tornado precautions. And again, you got to be doing it right now. So there's no time. So we're not saying there's a tornado on the ground. Just based off radar products here, it's probably not necessarily on the ground right now, but it easily could crank right back up. And again, it could produce another tornado. Now this has a history now of producing what looks like at least 3 tornadoes today. So it looks like it's produced 3 tornadoes, 2 quick hopscotch, and then one, I think it was on the ground for about 6 to 8 minutes. So Mike Russ, our lead storm tracker, they're just south of Chickasha. I think they just got on Highway 81. They're now rushing to the north now. They're getting up into the Chickasha area. They're going to be getting close. A better vantage point is this, at least mesocyclone here. This area of spin is going to be tracking right on up towards the Chickasha area. Let's go back to the spin rate product, Daniel, if we can. And as we take a look at the spin rate here, this is a different radar product. We don't use this necessarily often, only when we're talking about mesocyclones. But the red going to the brighter green means there's a fairly decent area of spin. Once you start getting to the yellows and even the pink that we had maybe 20 minutes ago now with that storm just north of Cement, that's generally a fairly good indication there is some type of tornadic activity. Right now we're kind of at that bright green threshold, so we're not necessarily into the yellows. Let's go back to our reflectivity, Daniel. And just let's go back to reflectivity. And as we do that, even the notch, even kind of the inflow notch that we had, it's closing up a little bit. So the storm, it's still just not as organized, and this is really good. It's just not quite as organized as it was maybe 20 minutes ago. But the thing is, you just cannot let your guard down because just as quickly as it wasn't that organized 20 minutes ago in like a 2-minute time frame, I mean, it ramped up, and it ramped up really, really fast. So Mike, you guys are still looking at it. You're still just south of Chickasha. Go ahead and give us another live update. Again, we're just taking this minute by minute for our friends down there in Chickasha. Give us another live update here.
Yes, that is correct. We are on Highway 81, just south of Chickasha here, a few miles south. We are starting to get inundated here with some strong west winds out ahead of the storm. But we're not seeing any power flashes or anything like that to the north of us. So I'm led to believe that there's not anything damaging on the ground at this time. But again, like I said, the wind is picking up here just south of Chickasha, and the lightning rate is still about the way it was about 5 minutes ago. Not too impressive, but not gone either. We're just not seeing the cloudy ground lightning like we were. But this again is we're still getting a pretty good strong west wind right now. So I believe maybe we're shifting more into low echo. We're kind of fearing tonight. I'm really starting to believe that might be what we're kind of transitioning to right now, William.
Yeah, Mike, I would absolutely agree with what you're saying. I want to do this. I want to go and widen things out here real quick. So we have a little brief lull here with this tornado warning. I just want to widen everything out and take a look across the state with what we have going on. Let's go and kind of widen it out a little bit more, Daniel. And so we have this bow line developing. We're going to talk more about this here in a second. Again, we've kind of been honed into the tornado warning for obvious reasons. It's the most important thing right now. But again, we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings now, basically from the western sides of the Oklahoma City metro all the way down into portions of southwestern Oklahoma. Okay, this is going to be for that developing bow line that we've been talking about for the last 2 days, the damaging wind threat. We're going to transition from the hail and minimal tornado threat to a damaging wind threat again as we go through the overnight period, and that's what's happening right now. So we'll take a closer look at that coming up here in just a second. But what I want to do, I want to stick with this tornado warning until it expires. And again, we're depending on if the Weather Service, they do go ahead and reissue it or not. But again, I do want to go and stick with this at least until 8 p.m. So that's for at least about another 11 minutes that this warning continues. So again, this is really important information. Again, if you live in Chickasha, you need to know this information. Obviously, you're wondering what's going on. So we'll continue to analyze this. And then if the Weather Service drops the tornado warning, then we'll kind of widen it back out and talk about what's going on around the rest of the state. But outside of this, the main thing you need to know, it's a damaging wind threat, wind 60 to maybe 75 miles per hour, maybe near 80 as we get deeper into the evening, into the overnight. So that's what you need to know with the other storms, and some of those will be pushing through the Oklahoma City metro over the next hour, so keep that in mind. Let's go back to velocities here, and we'll go and take another look inside the storm. Let's zoom it in just a little bit too, Daniel. We can zoom it right on in there to the Chickasha area. And it's still, just to be very honest, we've got to take the tornado warning seriously. You've got to be taking your tornado precautions. There's no doubt about it. But the area of spin, it's just nowhere near as organized as it was. It's just nowhere near as organized. Let's go to the spin rate. We'll take a look at the spin rate here as well. And so see how it's elongating again. It's not like a nice little bubble. We do have some greens on there. Again, the brighter the greens, getting closer to yellow, that's the stronger the rotation. So we still have a mesocyclone. We still have an area of spin here. It's coming right up through the Chickasha area, but it's just nowhere near at the level that it was at just a few minutes ago. Let's go to the hail core tracker real quick here as well. And just to touch on this, because we have had some fairly large hail. We've had some tennis ball size hail as we've gone through the evening, and a lot of times when you get these mesocyclones, it'll also kick up the hail sizes as well. And so we're seeing at least some probably ping pong ball size hail. You see a couple little areas of orange, so that would be smaller areas, but there would be some ping pong ball size hail. More widespread $half size hail we're seeing the yellow. So there's going to be a fairly decent hailstorm that comes to the Chickasha area as well. Let's go back to reflectivity. And then I also want to check back in with our team of tracker. Again, it's night, it's hard to see. We're just kind of analyzing this on radar. But Mike Russ, our lead storm tracker, and again, he's just doing the best he can at nighttime, trying to piece all this together and share information as well. But Mike, go ahead and give us a live update.
Yes, William. We are actually on the south side of Chickasha right now. We are in the town of Chickasha. If you're familiar, I believe it's Cowboy Corner down here. There's also a outdoors motorsports area. And we have gotten, and this sun is just getting here, and we're already having roadways that are inundated with water. We're having to go pretty slow right now. We're not seeing any area of rotation for us right now. We're not seeing anything to the west or anything like that. But the other big story is the wind. Just very strong winds on the south side of Chickasha right now. We're getting a little bit closer. Storm sirens are going off in Chickasha right now, William.
That's good. They need to be
outside the truck.
Okay.
It's almost like listening to a hurricane, but we can still hear the sirens right now, William.
That's good. They need to be going off. Even that's what we keep saying. Even though it looks like on radar that maybe things are easing down just a little bit, as long as there's a tornado warning in effect, you know the drill. You have to take your tornado precautions. We're just analyzing this in real time, maybe letting you know that conditions are slightly improving. But even though we say that, we say it tongue in cheek. You cannot take the storm lightly. They can always ramp right back up. If there's an official tornado warning in effect, you always err on the side of caution. You always take those tornado precautions. And even what the emergency managers there in Chickasha are doing, sounding the sirens, that is what you need to do. People need to be taking cover. They need to be sheltering. And again, they need to be taking their tornado precautions. So that's perfect, Mike. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine, William. But again, the big story here that we're seeing so far is this is very intense rainfall. The winds on the south side were very strong. We're still getting pretty good gusts. But if I had to guess, William, the gusts that we had on the south side of Chickasha were around 65 to 75 miles per hour wind gusts, William. I would not be surprised. The truck was brought pretty good.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not.
Again, the flash flooding, the risk, the wind. We're not seeing any hail yet either, William.
It looks like the main hail core, Mike, it's just on the northern side of town. You guys are on the southern sides of Chickasha. The hail core, it's just on the northern sides of town. It's got some $half. There might still be a few ping pong balls in there. We were just looking at it. But the hail core, it's on the northern sides of town. But again, you guys are right there in Chickasha. Again, Mike just doing a phenomenal job. And, there's not a lot of fast changing, information with this storm, but as long as there's a tornado warning in effect, again, we want to stay with this around the Chickasha area, and then basically Highway 81 to the north out of Chickasha, tornado warning there as well. Let's go and take another look inside the storm. Let's go and take a look at velocities, and again, we'll just continue to kind of analyze this. Again, officially the tornado warning continues here for about another 7 minutes. And again, you can still see it's just a big broad area of spin. So you have a big area of green spin, or really a big area of wind flowing one direction, wind flowing another direction. This is the mesocyclone right here, but it's not tight like it was earlier. So this is not a very impressive mesocyclone right now. So that's the good news, is that, that takes away from the immediate tornado threat. We don't have a tight couplet, a tight high velocity area of spin. Not to say that it can't change quickly like it did earlier, but at least right now in this moment in time, it's a fairly broad area of spin. Let's go and take a look at the spin rate here as well. And as we do that, again, the same thing. It's kind of that elongated looking area of spin. And again, once these kind of close up, look more like a bubble, you start getting the brighter greens, yellows, and even some pinks on them. That's when you know you start having problems and there's likely tornadic activity. That's not the case right now. But again, you can still see there's this area of spin. There's this mesocyclone. There's a threat of a tornado, and that's moving directly through the Chickasha area. That's why the tornado warning's in effect. And that's also why the tornado sirens, as Mike said, are sounding there in the Chickasha area as well. So we'll see what the Weather Service does. If they decide to extend this warning, they may go and drop it at 8 p.m. and just kind of take it from there. But again, even outside of the tornado warning, like I mentioned, we do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. And as we go through really the deeper part of the evening into the overnight, the bigger threat that's going to be developing, just like we've talked about really for the last several days, it's going to be the damaging wind threat. And these damaging winds of 70 and maybe 80 plus miles per hour, they can cause power outages and they can do some real damage as well. Just like we knew last spring here in the Oklahoma City Metro. We had a couple rounds, 2 rounds of that this last spring. So not good. Okay, let's do this, Daniel. Let's go back to reflectivity, and then we'll just kind of widen this out. We're going to take a look at kind of everything as a whole here. Again, officially tornado warning for Chickasha continues until 8 p.m. this evening. We're going to continue to track that. Check right back in with Mike here in just a second. Let's pull this down just a little bit, and let's go and zoom in on the western sides of the metro. Let's go and zoom in here on the western sides of the metro. And as we do that, so important information now for the Oklahoma City Metro. So we have basically this bow line of storms developing. What this is a developing damaging wind threat. This is moving in now on the western sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. Bethany, downtown Oklahoma City, again, even back down through the old Crossroads Mall down there around I-240. This activity is going to be moving in from the west. Winds embedded in here could be 60 to near 70 miles per hour. Okay, so this will be a damaging wind threat now coming in on the western sides of the metro. Let's just kind of work this on down to the south, and even down here in Norman where we are. Again, you can see this line. It's also going to be moving in, again, a 60, 70 mile per hour damaging wind threat. There could be some quarter-size hail mixed in, but the primary threat, again, right now for the Oklahoma City Metro, again, it is that damaging wind potential. Let's just keep on moving to the south here. And again, there's that tornado warning down around Chickasha, but even embedded in there, you can see basically from Bridge Creek, Amber, even back down to the south, there's still that damaging wind threat. So these just multiple severe thunderstorm warnings have now been issued, but it's for the damaging wind, 60, 70 plus miles per hour. Again, there's a tornado warning around Chickasha. We'll get back to that. Ninnekah, and then even down around Agram, and then further back down to the south.
They extended the tornado warning.
And looks like they're going to go and extend that tornado warning. And so there it is right there. So they will go and extend it. And the main reason for that is because of the fact that we had that 6 to 7 minute tornado that I think I locked onto just about 20 minutes ago. So they're going to go and extend that, and that's going to be coming right on into Blanchard. And let me just go and jump in here real quick, and that's going to be for Garvin County and also into parts of McLean County. So for the southern sides of the Oklahoma City Metro, again, right now, the storm, there's a weakening trend. We don't have a confirmed tornado. I don't think we've had a confirmed tornado for probably the last 15 to 20 minutes, but Blanchard, potentially more Norman, just in the back of your mind, you just at least have to stay aware that there is a storm that's at least produced 3 to maybe 4 tornadoes as we've gone, through the evening. That's now kind of moving in your direction. So we're going to continue to track this. We're going to continue to stay alive with it. And of course, we have our team of trackers, Mike Russ. He's right there in the mix of all of it. He's been on the storm basically all day long. But again, this is a brand new tornado warning now. This is going to be for Grady and McLean County, and that's going to be until 8:30 this evening. So let's go and kind of dive back into this. Let's go and dive back into this now. And Mike, if you have anything to pass, just let me know. But let's widen this out here a little bit. So this is going to be the new tornado warning here. And this is, again, is Grady County, McLean County. And I just want to point out, not that it's remotely going to be a tornado warned by the time it gets to Cleveland County, but you always want to look ahead. When you're talking about tornado warnings, you want to look ahead. Where's it headed? Where's it going? What's happening? So here's Norman, there's Noble. So in general, if it would hold together its current strength, that's where it's heading in general. Again, not saying that it's going to be tornado warned by the time it gets there, but at least for right now, the far eastern portions of Grady County, and then again, moving into portions of McLean County. The other thing we're going to have to take a look at, we're about to switch radar sources, is this bow line. This is actually really strengthening up. So for the southern sides of the metro, that bow line right there, that easily could be packing some 70 to near 80 mile per hour winds. We're going to take a different look. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to switch the radar source here for just 1 second, and we're going to go back to the overview, and I'm actually going to switch this radar here, I'm going to do this because I want to take a look at this from a different radar source because we're continuing to track that tornado warning. There's no doubt about it. But I also want to go take a look at this damaging wind potential because we've got a fairly decent bow line that's going to be coming through the South Metro, I-240, Moore, Norman, Noble, and that could have some 60, 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds. So we're going to take a closer look at that here in just a second. Let me go and move these radars around. So just kind of bear with me here. This is what happens when we're doing severe weather coverage. Sometimes we have to kind of work the radars. But let me go kind of widen this one here out. We're going to put this into motion. Then we're going to go back to our other radar. Here we go. Let's switch. Let's go back to this one here. Let me go and zoom in. And what I want to do, let me get back to this radar here. Let's go to velocities here. And let's go to velocities and let's zoom in just a little bit here. And we're not necessarily, when we're at this point, looking for tornado type velocities, but we're looking inside the storm. And I'm telling you, as I'm sampling these, especially even out here near Newcastle, and then even as you get down into Blanchard where my cursor is, I'm sampling wind gusts here. And we're getting some near 70 mile per hour gusts. And so this is important now. So we have the tornado warning. We're going to keep talking about that. I think the tornado threat at this very moment in time is easing down. The other thing we got to really worry about here, folks, I'm telling you what, from the southern sides of the metro, basically from I-240, basically from I-40 downtown Oklahoma City all the way down through Noble, this is a fairly decent little bow line of some 70 and maybe higher mile per hour wind gusts. Those bright greens you're seeing right there, this is going to pack a real punch as it comes on in. Let's go back to reflectivity here. And as we go back to reflectivity, again, you'll see this bow line and you'll see this bow, and this is what we call a bow. And the reason why that's important is because a lot of times when you have a thunderstorm and there's high velocity winds with it, it blows the rain, the reflectivity ahead of the cloud. And as the radar scans it, it shows up as a bow because the rain from the thunderstorm is being blown out. You see that? So that's why it's a bow, and that's how you can actually pick up on radar that you're getting some high velocity winds. And as we kind of widen this out just a little bit more, Daniel, again, you can see this bow, and look at this. So see that bow right there? And that's coming right on into the metro. So we're concerned about this tornado warning. We're going to get right back down to that. But I tell you what, from I-240, we're getting little power bumps even here at the office. We have backup, so it's not a big deal, but we're getting bumps here. And we're in downtown Norman, by the way. But basically from I-240, again, all the way down through Moore, Norman, this is going to be some high velocity wind that's going to be coming in here over the next 45 minutes to an hour. And there could be some wind gusts over 80 miles per hour. So we need to make that very clear as well. We've been focusing in on the tornado warning. That's the most important thing right now. But this bow line of high velocity winds that's going to be moving through central Oklahoma, that is also of concern as well. Real quick, let's go and zoom back in on the tornado warning. And real quick, Mike, I know your stream is frozen. We're going to get that jump started. Give me an update, Mike. If you're still on the live line, what's going on with this storm? And give us a live update on that.
Yes, William. We are on Highway 9. We're going to be cruising up towards the Norman area. We're starting to try to come out of it here east of Chickasha. And right now, we're not seeing any too strong of winds by any means at this time. However, what we saw on the south side of Chickasha was tremendously strong winds, and we saw a few power bumps on the south side of Chickasha. So that is something to definitely be watching for, especially if I were, looking at the meso scan here in the truck. If I lived anywhere between Norman all the way up to I'd say even Edmond, you be prepared for some pretty strong winds to come through your area. I'm going to say we had at least 65, 75 mile per hour wind gusts there in the south side of Chickasha. So this storm, it looks like it's trying to transition to the bow echo gust front type of storm that we've been kind of talking about. And I really think that's what it's transitioning to here. You're going to have to get over Jesse. But that doesn't take away from the tornado warning that's still in effect. We're actually in that warning box still at this time.
I'll tell you what, Mike.
It looks like it's kind of cruising up channel.
It's trying to reorganize. It's trying to reorganize here a little bit, Mike. It's trying to reorganize here just a little bit. And so let's go to the spin rate here real quick. And it's nowhere near, again, it's nowhere near as impressive as it was earlier, but these things, they just cycle up and cycle down. It's just that cycle that finally catches, and you don't want it to catch you off guard. So as far as the spin rate goes, again, we have the tornado warning in effect. Right now, it doesn't appear as though there's a tornado on the ground. We've been analyzing this on radar. I think we've had at least 3 tornadoes tonight. I think we had a 6 to 8 minute tornado north of Cement. That was probably about 45 minutes ago. Since then, it's kind of tried to kind of cycle back up, but it's never really taken hold. And even now, looking at the spin rate, doesn't look like it's taking hold. Now, with that being said, there's still a tornado warning in effect. Middleburg, all the way over through really the Blanchard area, you need to be taking your tornado precautions. But at least right now, just analyzing this on radar, it doesn't appear as though there's a tornado on the ground right now. But again, it doesn't take away from the threat of this, again, producing some type of tornadic activity. If we can, let's go back to reflectivity here. Now let's go back to the overview. So we're kind of juggling 2 things. We're juggling this tornado warning. There may not necessarily be a tornado on the ground right now, but we have a warning. We're juggling that. And then we're also juggling now this damaging wind threat along this line, because these winds are really cranking up now. And it's basically from the southern sides of the metro, especially I-240, Moore, Norman, all the way down through Noble. Over the next 45 minutes, there could be some 80+ mile-per-hour winds coming on through. And Mike, I know when you were down there in Chickasha, you said you maybe had some 75 mile-per-hour winds. Hey, quickly, Daniel, let's move this up to, let's go up to the north just a little bit, and let's go back to velocities. Let's go back to velocities, and let's just go and take another look here. And this is it. I mean, that's the damaging wind potential right there, and we're getting those brighter greens. And I was sampling just a few minutes ago. We easily had some 70+ mile-per-hour winds. So this is going to be moving into the metro. This can cause some power disruptions, some power bumps. I mean, it can even knock down some power poles. Not saying all that's going to happen, but it's a real possibility with these high-velocity winds coming on through. Let's do this just real quick. I want to take the radar full. Mike, we're going to get right back to your shot in just a second. But I want to take the radar full, and I want to kind of analyze this a little bit further. Let's go back to reflectivity, and let's kind of zoom out. Because the tornado warning is important. We're going to keep talking about it. I just don't think there's an immediate tornado on the ground right this second. We're going to keep talking about it. But I am getting a little more concerned about this bow echo. And you can see on the northern sides of the metro, yeah, we're involved in heavy rain. There could be some 60 mile-per-hour winds up in there. But really from Bethany and basically I-40 to the south, once we start getting this bow right through there, that's where the high velocity winds start. From basically I-40 all the way down to south of Chickasha. That's where the high velocity winds start right there. And again, Mike, even while he's been, involved with that tornado warning, as that line of storms came through, he was talking about some 75 mile-per-hour winds, and that easily could be the case. And that bow echo has even intensified a little bit more since that point in time. So the bottom line, if you live really from downtown Oklahoma City all the way down through Purcell, again, right now just talking about the Oklahoma City metro, you need to prepare for some damaging winds to come through. These could be, you may only get 60 mile-per-hour winds, some folks may get 70, but there will be a few that get 80 mile-per-hour winds. The way it looks right now is this bow line comes on through. And then, of course, the other thing we're tracking still is that tornado warning. Let's go and zoom back in on that tornado warning. And this is basically going to be from the Chickasha area now all the way up through Blanchard. Just to give you some quick history, if you're just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, this is the same storm that had a tornado warning west of Lawton. It did produce a brief tornado south of Indiahoma. I think it produced another hopscotch tornado just west of Cache down there north of Lawton as well. And then Mike Russ, our lead storm tracker east of Apache, had a brief tornado with it. And then there was another tornado warning issued. And then the way it looked, there was about a 6 to maybe 8 minute tornado radar indicated on the ground, and that was just north of Cement. So this storm, it has a history of producing tornadic activity, but right now at this point in time, it's just nowhere near ramped up as tight as it was again when it was producing that tornadic activity. Not to say that it can't ramp right back up. And again, we don't want to take away from the actual tornado warning that's been issued here. But again, just based off of radar and even what Mike's looking at out there at this very second in time, it's just not quite as intense as it was, again, maybe 45 minutes ago. But again, Middleburg and Blanchard, you folks, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. And just real quick with that last scan that came in, let's go and hit velocities just one more time here. So let's go and hit velocities one more time. So this is where the area of spin is. It's actually moving just a little bit more to the north. We had just a little bit of a donut hole developing there, but it's still on radar, not super impressive velocity. So let's go back to reflectivity. And again, we're basically tracking this 1-2 punch now. We'll go back to a mic shot here as well. Pull that back up. We're going to check back in with him in just a second as well. But again, we're basically tracking this 1-2 punch of damaging winds that are going to be coming through the metro here over the next 30 to 45 minutes. It's going to pack a real punch, 60, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. And then, of course, we're also juggling this tornado warning that continues down here for portions of Grady County and portions of really far western McLean County there around the Blanchard area. So, Mike, you're still on the live line. I know you're down there around the Chickasha area. You've been involved with this storm since down in far southwestern Oklahoma. Go ahead and give us a live update. What are you seeing now? And also update us on those winds in your location as well.
Yes, William. We're going to be just a few miles west of Blanchard right now. We just drove through the broad area of rotation, and I can tell you the only thing we saw in that broad area of rotation is a lot of wind, nothing tornadic. Please, I'm going to stress that there was nothing tornadic. However, the wind gusts were pretty outrageous, pretty strong. Maybe 50 to 65 on that one, on those gusts. But very torrential rainfall. That was the other big issue, was very torrential rainfall. We had to slow our speeds way down just to stay able to see the roadway here. But we're still watching that ahead of us here. Because actually, I'm not sure we drove through the rotation. Now that I'm looking here with the lightning flashes, just to our north here. So this is going to be just north of Highway 9. We're seeing a bowl-shaped lowering, William. Yes, William. We're seeing the lights of Blanchard right now. It's not, Blanchard is just a few miles ahead of us here, but we do see a broad bowl-shaped area, and this is going to end up going north of Blanchard here. But it's a very large area, and it looks to be pretty high base. So we're not seeing any.
To stay on the line. So we got you back on the live line there.
We've also got a viewer that just told us that we have no audio from you, William.
I'm not sure. I think we've got audio from here, so I'm not sure. But let's do this. I want to widen everything out. And again, we're just kind of juggling this tornado warning. It's an immediate concern, but there's no right now, it just doesn't look like there's a super imminent threat. So what we're going to do, we're just going to continue to kind of widen this out, and we're going to keep looking. And I think we just lost Mike there off the live line again. That's okay. We're going to keep looking at this also developing bow line. So let's do this. Let's go and kind of pull this up a little bit, Daniel. Let's go and pull this, and we're going to switch back over to full screen mode here. And let's go from the metro, and let's just go down to the south. And Mike, I know you're back on the live line. We're just kind of juggling all these technical things here real quick. Thanks for bearing with us there. So let's zoom this out real quick, Daniel. And let's zoom this out and just kind of take a look at everything as a whole. Let's go and take a look at the state as a whole, if we can here. We'll just keep on kind of zooming out. And again, like I said, we cover all of Oklahoma, so you just have to forgive us. We have to kind of work the radar around the entire state, and of course, anytime there's a tornado warning, that generally takes precedence, so we normally try and handle that first of all. So let's go up to northern Oklahoma. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning up here. This looks like it's up here around Pawnee and Osage County, and it looks like a brand new one was just issued for most of Osage County. So this is up here around the Fairfax area, Pawnee, and this is a fairly decent little hail core here. Let's go and take a look at the hail core tracker on this one, and we'll get back to Mike's video. And so there's easily some quarter-size hail. Looks like wind would primarily be the threat with this storm as we go back to a normal radar mode reflectivity. It looks like wind would primarily be the threat here. Quarter-size hail, winds over 60 miles per hour, basically all the way up through the Fairfax area there in Osage County. Let's go and kind of walk the line a little bit further down to the south. And again, basically from Stillwater, you folks in Stillwater are seeing some thunderstorms. They're not severe right now, but again, there is lightning. There's locally heavy rain there in Stillwater, and then even down around the Guthrie area, again, locally heavy rain, vivid lightning here. You see that vivid lightning there? So that's around the Guthrie area, but not severe. But then as we go a little bit further down to the south, we start getting in the Oklahoma City metro. See, we start getting these bow lines. And so this is the big concern, again, minus the tornado warning right now. This is the big concern heading into the evening. It's this bow echo. And we've got a fairly decent one now, even moving right through downtown. And whenever you get this bow echo, that's indicative of high velocity winds, straight line winds. Let's take a look at velocities here real quick. And as we do that, man, oh man, we've got some, let's zoom in on this just a little bit. And let's also go and take a look at our downtown Oklahoma City cam. This thing, it's normally gives us at least a pretty good indication of what's going on down there. So let's go and take a look at our OKC cam here real quick. And as we get that pulled up, we'll see what's going on down there. Our downtown Oklahoma City cam, it's not rocking too much, but there is some high velocity wind coming through. You can see it's involved in some heavy rain there in downtown Oklahoma City. But it's, we've had cases where we see sideways rain and all kinds of stuff going on here. But again, right now at least, it's not super impressive what's going on there with the downtown Oklahoma City cam. It's rocking around a little bit. There are some gusty winds coming through, but it may not be at that 60 or 70 mile per hour threshold right now. But again, the camera is rocking around, and there is some locally heavy rain. You also see that vivid lightning showing up there in the shot as well. So let's go back to radar here. And as we do that, let's go back to normal mode. Let's go back to normal mode, and let's just keep on going a little bit further down to the south. And even down here in the Moore Norman area, let's go back up here to Moore Norman real quick here as well. And so same thing, we kind of have this bow line that's going to be moving on in, and still an opportunity again for those 60 and near 70 mile per hour winds. That's going to be moving into the Moore Norman area. In fact, Moore Norman now under severe thunderstorm warnings. You see that yellow box there, that's going to be for high velocity winds. And keep in mind, 70 mile per hour winds can cause power disruptions. Keep that in mind. And then as we go further down to the south, we'll get back to this tornado warning here in just a second. And as we go back further down to the south, you can see basically this line of storms. Severe weather continues all the way down through Lawton and all the way back down through Cookietown, Walters. Again, basically the same thing through here. It's that threat of, again, 60 to near 70 mile per hour straight line winds. Let's go back up to our tornado warning. We're also going to take a look at Mike's video. Again, his live feed coming on in here. And I believe we have him on the live line here as well. And Mike, go ahead and give us an update. Tell us where you are right now, and tell us what you guys are seeing. Also update us on the winds where you are as well.
Yes, William. We're just a couple miles east or west of Blanchard right now on Highway 9. Blanchard has gone ahead and pulled their fire department out of town watching this right now, and we are definitely watching this because we have that broad area of rotation. But William, we keep watching this, and our wind directions keep changing. Blanchard had just turned on their sirens, William. Blanchard just turned on their sirens.
Okay.
We still have a broad area of rotation out here that we are seeing that's going to be just north of Blanchard, it looks like. And we're watching it because we've had some north winds that have hit us, and all of a sudden the wind direction has changed back feeding into that updraft region from the south. So this storm is not done yet. I don't know if maybe it's trying to kind of recycle and re-intensify here just north of Blanchard, William. If that's the case, it does look like that's going to be heading up towards the Norman area, if I'm correct, William.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If it does hold together, in general, it would. Let's do this. Let's go back. Let's take a look at velocities here real quick within the storm. And, you know, again, even though the tornado warning here does continue, we just want to preface the tornado warning continues. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. Sirens are sounding now in Blanchard. There is an area of spin, but it's not super impressive. This will be tracking towards Norman. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, for all we know, the Weather Service could extend that warning up towards Norman, the tornado warning. Norman's officially under a severe thunderstorm warning. But this storm, this area of rotation, it's just not at the same caliber that it was at, 45 minutes ago when we did have the tornadic activity. Let's take a look at the spin rate within this as well here. And in fact, let's go and zoom in on that just a little bit. And the spin rate, I mean, it's really come down. And again, we just want to preface that. I mean, it can come back up. It can ramp up very quickly. We all know that. But right now, the rotation, even over the last 10 minutes, it continues to weaken. It just continues to weaken. So we'll continue to track it. And, if the Weather Service decides to extend that warning, we'll continue to track it as well. But you can see them you just saw that warning update there. They've kind of zoomed it in right there in that just last little breath of spin. So we'll see if they decide to extend the warning. I really just based off of radar, I don't think they will, but we'll have to see. But regardless, that area of spin, regardless if it's tornado warned or not, we'll be tracking towards the Norman area. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. I think right now for the Norman area, the bigger threat is going to be the damaging wind gusts that come through. And again, also that opportunity for some small hail and locally heavy rain as well. So let's go back to a normal radar mode here. And man, and there's that bow echo. Man, I'm telling you, this thing is really enhancing. Let's zoom this out a little bit. But this bow right here, Mike, what were your winds as you're coming into this? As Mike's down here around the Blanchard area. It'll be very interesting to see as this comes on into his area what the winds are, because I mean this easily could be this bow right here. This could be packing some 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. This will be very interesting. Mike, what are your winds like right now?
Right now, our winds are fairly calm. We are now on the east side of Blanchard, in fact.
Okay.
We're going to be pulling over here in just a minute. But when we drove through it, the winds were kind of to our back door, so we didn't get a really good feel. But we were at least receiving, that I can confirm, about 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts to our back door.
I think...
Now, that's not to say it wasn't higher, because, of course, it was to our back door and we couldn't feel it right. But we're still watching the storm for sure. This is still a very intense storm, especially as it comes into the Blanchard area. We're just trying to get to a good spot where we can pull off and kind of watch this come into the area here, William.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to gauge the winds, Mike, as you guys stop, as that bow line actually comes in. You look at everything on radar, we look at everything on radar, but it takes an actual person in the field to really what we call ground verify. So it will be interesting to see as that bow echo comes through what winds Mike actually gets. Are they 60? Are they 70? Are they 80? I mean, that will at least give us some type of gauge. It'll vary along that line, but it'll at least give us some type of a gauge here over the next few minutes. So we'll be watching for that there as well. Okay, so let's go and zoom this out a little bit. And again, we do continue with the tornado warning in effect. Right now, the rotation's easing down. We're continuing to monitor that. The other major concern that we have here in the Oklahoma City metro, and then basically down the line, it's this bow line segment. Man, especially right down, Mike, really where you are, right down there in Blanchard, it's really fairly impressive, that bow echo through there. So again, it'll be interesting to see what Mike has here in just a few minutes. But again, really from Oklahoma City, again, all the way down to the south, coming into the more Norman area here over the next 45 minutes. Again, locally heavy rain and that opportunity for some 60 and 70 mile per hour winds. I want to take the downtown Oklahoma City cam again. Let's go and take another look and see what's going on with that. And again, just kind of using this as a gauge of what's going on in downtown Oklahoma City. Again, with those higher velocity winds coming through. Earlier, maybe we looked at this maybe 5 minutes ago, and it wasn't anything too out of control. We've had some, on previous nights when we've used this cam, when we've had severe weather moving through the Oklahoma City metro, we've had some pretty good wind gusts, some sideways rain and things like that. And overall, this seems like it's been fairly calm from what we've seen. I mean, there's locally heavy rain falling, and the camera has been shaking around, so there's definitely some wind, but it hasn't been as impressive as against some of the other nights when we've used it. We've had some some squall lines and some bow lines moving on through the area. But again, that's what it's looking like in downtown Oklahoma City. Again, there with our downtown Oklahoma City cam. And then, of course, there's Mike and Jesse's live shot. They're down in Blanchard, tracking that activity again as it comes on through portions of central Oklahoma. So let's do this. Let's center the radar back up and let's go back to velocities. And looks like that tornado warning's been canceled. So tornado warning's now been canceled, so that's good down there around the Blanchard area. I want to take this full just real quick, and I want to go right around Oklahoma County, Daniel. Let's go and let's just kind of center it up here a little bit. Let's kind of center that up. And so again, what we're looking at here now, we're looking for velocities, and we're looking at basically damaging wind gust potential here along this line. And the brighter the greens, the higher the wind flow within the storm. And again, you can see we have some pockets here, and I'll go in there and sample this on the radar, but we have some pockets here where there's easily some 60 mile per hour winds in Oklahoma County. Let's take this a little bit further to the south. And this only works as you can only be so far away from the radar site, because the beam eventually gets so high that you're not looking at ground gust or wind speeds close enough to the ground that they're relevant. So this NextRad site, it's in northeastern Cleveland County. You kind of see that little hole. That's where the actual NextRad site is. So we're starting to kind of pull away from it again as we get over here into portions of McLean and Grady County. But as we still kind of look at this here, still kind of analyzing some of these high velocity wind gusts, again, you can at least still see some pockets. It's a little less accurate, again, from this distance from the radar. But again, especially out there where Mike is around Blanchard, you're seeing a few of those pockets there of high velocity gusts. So let's go back to reflectivity mode here. And we'll get back to, and man, this, if you want to talk about a bow line, if you've ever heard of a bow line, if you ever hear a weather person, a meteorologist talk about a bow line, this is a bow line right here. And this is, man, oh man, and this is tracking up towards Norman. And our office is here in Norman. So in Norman, there will be some damaging winds that move through. And I'll just kind of tell you real quick, the reason why it's a bow line is if you have a thunderstorm and the wind from this thunderstorm is blowing out at high velocities, it blows that rain and precipitation out ahead of the cloud. So even though the actual thunderstorm is back in here, it's blowing the rain out with the high velocity winds. And of course, that's how the radar is picking up on that right there. But yeah, we will definitely have some high velocity winds coming on through the Norman area. That's a fairly decent little bow segment right there. So let's go back to the live shot here. And Mike, real quick, I know you're still on the live line. Tell me where you guys are, if you guys are going to be able to stop down there, just so we can kind of gauge the winds, or kind of tell me what your plan is and give us a live update from Blanchard. If we still have Mike on the live line, we may have lost him. Mike, are you still on the live line with us? We may have temporarily lost Mike, so we'll be checking back with him coming up here in just a second. They've been doing a great job just blowing and going all through southwestern Oklahoma. Now I've been back up here into portions of central Oklahoma as well. And there we go. I think we just got Mike back on the live line. But Mike, hey, give us a live update. Tell us where you are, and also let us know about these winds. If you guys are going to be able to stop for a second and let some of these winds catch up to your location.
Just 1 second, William,
Okay.
while I navigate here.
Okay, no problem. Well, we'll check back in with you. I know you just kind of dropped off the line. We'll check back in with you again coming up here in just a second. But I just want to reiterate that the tornado warning, this is the good news, the tornado warning has been canceled. It's been allowed to expire. It's no longer in effect. So right now in Oklahoma, we currently have no tornado warnings anywhere in the state. We do have some severe thunderstorm warnings. We'll take a closer look at those. And right now, the most concerning thing to me, it's this bow line that in general, it's going to be tracking right up towards the Norman area. So Norman's going to have some fairly high velocity wind gusts. These could be 70, 80 mile per hour gusts. Again, Mike is basically right there. The storm is basically going to come right over him at some point in time, and we'll in real time, besides just basing this off of radar, we'll be able to get a better vantage of exactly what's going on with these storms as they move through his area. So we're going to check back in with him here in just a second. Let's go and widen out the view again here. Let's go and widen out the view. And so there should be some fairly decent high velocity winds, Mike. If you're still on the live line, let us know. It looks like you guys just pulled over there. Tell me exactly where you guys are now, and let me know what your winds are there in your location.
Yes, William. The bow is actually just about to come right on top of us here.
Okay.
And it's a very well-pronounced bow that you are going to see as it comes into the metro area here. Mm-hmm. Very pronounced. Very, very intense looking. But we're not getting too strong a wind as of yet. So we're still waiting for them to kind of get here. And actually, here comes some cooler air. So we're about to get inundated with it.
Yeah, it's about to be right in your location.
Crawl up to the top of the hill here. Yeah, here it comes.
So we're just going to kind of take this in real time and kind of watch it. And because, again, this is the best thing to do. This is what you call ground verifying. Again, we're looking at things on radar. It's showing us things, but now Mike is going to tell us exactly what's really going on. So again, we're just kind of, looking at all this in real time. Again, Mike's live video there on the right-hand side of your screen around Blanchard. And the reason why they're just kind of stopped and waiting is we have this bow line, this high-velocity wind segment that's going to be moving into the southern sides of the metro. On radar, it looks like this could be anywhere from 60 to maybe near 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And so we're, again, just kind of doing what we call ground verifying. Mike, our lead storm tracker, they're out there. And again, they're basically waiting for these winds to come on through their area. And then they're basically going to let us know. Are they 60-mile-per-hour winds? Are they 80-mile-per-hour? It's ground verifying. This is what's really going on, and then we compare that to what the radar on the other side of your screen is showing. So that's what we're doing, and it looks like these wind gusts will be to Mike here fairly quickly. But
yeah,
Mike,
they're starting to come up right now.
Okay.
And here we're starting to get some pretty good gusts now. We were sustained probably about 30 to 40. Now our truck is rocking, so we're probably looking at about 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts as we're sitting still here. So far, it's still coming up on us yet. So just bear with us here. But this is quite a ways ahead of it, and we're getting some pretty intense winds already.
Right.
So this is no joke. I would say there are going to be some strong damaging winds in the storm right now, William.
So we're just going to let it kind of continue to go through your location. I know it's kind of dark there. It's a little bit hard to see, but again, we just kind of want you to ground verify it, Mike, and just continue to kind of let us know, again, what you're seeing in your location. I mean, if you're estimating these 50-mile-per-hour winds, 60, 80, just so we kind of know as these come on into the metro. Of course, we're getting something on radar, but just like anything, we like to ground verify it. So that's why you're kind of doing what you're doing. But as these winds are coming in, again, still just kind of give us a play-by-play. Again, your rule, it's dark. We see the cars passing by, but there's not a lot of street lights to light anything up. But what are the wind gusts? What would you estimate these winds as they're coming on into your area right now?
As of at this moment, we're probably looking at about 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, William.
Okay.
But it also, to me, on the meso scan here in the truck, it looks like that bow may actually be kind of subsiding down a little bit. I don't know if I'm correct in seeing that, but that's kind of what it looks like on the meso scan here in the truck. So that may be a good thing as it comes into the Norman and Moore area here.
It would be nice. It's a fairly decent bow segment, though. It looks like it's going to pack a punch as it comes on in. I mean, this is a fairly textbook bow segment that's coming on in. So we'll see. Did you guys mention hail just now as well?
Go through a hill. No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought you guys had mentioned hail. but that's okay. So we're going to check back in with Mike and Jesse, just doing a phenomenal job out there. Again, they've been tracking these storms from southwestern Oklahoma, now the way up here into portions of central Oklahoma as well. And again, Mike estimating winds right around 60, maybe just a little bit higher there in real time as these came on through. I want to take the radar full screen. Just actually, you know what? We'll leave it just like that. But let's go and widen everything out one more time. Let's go and widen everything out one more time. Let's go up to the north. And I just kind of want to walk the line because we do have some severe weather up here in north central Oklahoma as well. And this is going to be up here in Osage County. Let's go and zoom in if we can. Let's go and push on in. Let's go and push on in on this right into Osage County. And so severe thunderstorm warning here. And this is primarily going to be for wind. And you can basically see basically from the Fairfax area all the way back down through locations like Pawnee, down in Pawnee County. Again, there's going to be an opportunity for some 60-mile-per-hour winds, possibly some quarter-size hail up there in northern Oklahoma. And let's go and kind of continue just walking the line here to the south. And as we do that, basically through the Stillwater area, again, you see that locally heavy rain, vivid lightning in the Stillwater area there as well. And then again, as we continue just pushing back down to the south, by the way, that in Stillwater is not severe. Also back over through Guthrie, not severe either, just locally heavy rain. And then again, as we get into the Oklahoma City metro, even down here on the southern sides of the metro, severe thunderstorm warnings continue. And again, that's going to be primarily for some wind gusts. And the way it looks right now, 60, maybe 70-mile-per-hour wind gust. Again, where Mike was down around the Blanchard area, estimating right around 60. So give or take 60, 70 as these come on through. Might be a few power bumps with this as well as it moves on through the metro. Locally heavy rain, vivid lightning you're also going to have. And there could be at least some quarter-size hail, some pockets of quarters mixed in. Real quick, Daniel, let's pause the animation and let's go to the hail core tracker. We haven't talked much about hail over the last few minutes. And as we take a look at the hail core tracker, so up in Oklahoma County, hail really not an issue at all. Now on the southern sides of the metro, let's go and take a closer look at this because we do have a little bit of a hail core there. And that's going to be just north of Bridge Creek. In general, that's going to be tracking over towards Moore. This could easily be some half-dollar size hail. So you folks in Moore may get a bit of hail along with the winds as well. And again, that could easily be some half-dollar size hail down here in Norman. Again, hail minimal. So we maybe have some dime-sized hail moving through right now in Norman. Hail really not looking like a big threat. Let's go back to reflectivity, back to normal radar mode here, and let's just kind of keep walking the line on down. There's that fairly decent bow line we were just talking about coming through Blanchard, heading up towards Norman as well. And then basically this line extends all the way back down through Chickasha and then further back down to the south. We're getting a few power bumps here at the studio in Norman, a few power bumps now, and even from Elgin all the way back down through the Lawton area down there as well. So really the bottom line, you know, we've had a couple tornado warnings. We've had a couple tornadoes this evening as well. So we're kind of transitioning now from that hail and again, that kind of lower end tornado threat we had as we went through the evening to now more of a damaging wind threat where we're talking about this bow line that's going to sweep through Oklahoma, central Oklahoma now, and then push into eastern Oklahoma. There's some more power bumps here in the studio, pushing into eastern Oklahoma, again, as we really go through the overnight period. But again, as these storms move through the metro, a little bit of thunder now here in Norman as well, as these storms move through the metro, again, and the beeping you're hearing, we have a backup system here, so as the power bumps kind of hit, you might hear some beeping. That's to keep everything running during the power hits that, again, we're taking. You see it right there here in Norman. So let's go back up into central Oklahoma on Mesoscan here. And as we do that, again, here's even kind of a little bit of a gust front now. This little blue line you're seeing right there, little blue and green line. So that's the leading edge of some of the higher velocity winds. Again, 60, maybe 70-mile-per-hour winds. And again, those are coming right on in now to the southern sides of the metro. Let's go back up into Oklahoma County as well, right into Oklahoma City. And there's the gust front there as well. So that's now pushing in the eastern portions of Oklahoma County. And still a fairly decent bow line. And I'm going to go back to the downtown Oklahoma City cam just one more time, just to kind of gauge what's going on there in downtown Oklahoma City. Let's go and take a closer look at this. And as we do that, there's downtown Oklahoma City. So things are kind of picking up now just a little bit. When we looked at this earlier, it wasn't as impressive, but things are kind of starting to rock and roll a little bit now in downtown. And so you can see some of the higher, there's the sideways rain. Okay, see that right there? So some higher velocity winds coming through. If you look carefully, the rain curtains, the rain sheets, some sideways rain there. So that could be some 60-mile-per-hour winds. You see that locally heavy rain. Again, this is downtown Oklahoma City. There's the Devon Tower right there, just to kind of orient you. It's kind of hard to see right now, again, because of the all involved there in the locally heavy rain. Harkins Theater would be right there. But again, so locally heavy rain, ongoing now in downtown Oklahoma City. It looked like maybe some 60-mile-per-hour wind, just kind of guesstimating there, again, with some of those sideways blowing rain curtains that we're seeing there as well. And power bumps continue even here in the Norman area here around the studio as well. So let's go, and so we've got a brand new tornado warning, and so this is going to be coming out now. It looks like for the Norman area. So let's go ahead and take a look here. And looks like a brand new tornado warning. This will be for the Norman area. In fact, sirens are now sounding here in Norman. And let's go and take a closer look at this. This is going to be for Cleveland and McLean County. And in Norman, tornado sirens are now going off. We're going to take a closer look at this. Let's go to velocities here as well. And we're just getting this punched in here. And so the Weather Service went ahead and issued a warning on this. Right now, just by looking at velocities, this storm right now not looking super impressive. Let's go and click this ahead. And there's that brand new tornado warning. And so it's going to be right in here. Okay, let's zoom in on that, Daniel. Let's zoom right in on that. So we've had a little spin up here. This is on the southern sides of town. Let's center this up. So here's Norman, Hall Park, OU being right back over in here. And so this right here, this is going to be Highway 9. A little bit of a spin up now right in here. Let's go to, okay, so this is going to be the southern sides of Norman. We're in downtown Norman. We're located right here. I mean, it's a marginal area of spin, but it's enough to prompt a tornado warning. Let's go to the shear rate here. Let's go to the spin rate. And so here it is right here. This is what the warning's for. Not super impressive, but it's something there. There's Highway 9. There's Main Street in Norman. This is the area of spin right here. This is basically the river. There's Goldsby. The Riverwind would be right back over in here, just to orient you. This is the area of spin that we're concerned about right there. Mike is stopping at a wreck. We're going to check back in with him in just a second. But at least for the Norman area, tornado warning now in effect. And this is primarily going to be for the southern and central portions of Norman. There is at least an area of spin here. Let's go back to velocities. And this is until 9:15. So as we're looking at velocities here as well, and again, tornado warning for the southern sides of Norman. If you're in Norman, you need to be taking your tornado precautions. Okay, if you're in Norman, you need to be taking your tornado precautions. This is also coming right up over our studio here as well. We're basically right off of Main Street and Collier, just east of I-35 in Norman. But there's the area of spin right there. Not super impressive, but again, it's moving through a fairly densely populated area. So the Weather Service went ahead and issued a warning on that. Let's go back to the spin rate. Let's go back to the spin rate. So here it is right here. That's still the area of spin. So not super impressive. There's Highway 9. Let's zoom in on this just a little bit tighter if we can. Let's zoom in just a little bit tighter here. And so again, there's Highway 9. Okay, and there's Main Street. And so our studio would be probably right about here, actually. So the area of spin just south of our studio. Again, impressive area, but not super impressive. Again, we don't have the bright greens. We don't have the yellow showing up here. But again, we're going to continue to track this carefully, again, as this moves through central and southern Norman. Central and southern Norman, that's where the tornado warning is in effect for. Let's go and take another look at velocities. We're just taking a look at this in real time here. Again, tornado warning for central and southern Norman. And, a broad area of spin. I mean, we've got a mesocyclone here. Broad area of spin. Basically from right here to right here, broad area of spin right there. And let's go back to the spin rate. And we're just taking this really sweep by sweep. And again, Main Street, and of course this right here being Highway 9 in Norman. And again, this right here is where the area of spin is. And so, a lot of times when you start getting the brighter greens, the yellows that are showing up, that's a lot of times when that becomes a little more concerning. But again, regardless, we do have an area of spin moving through Norman. So we'll just see what the next sweep there entails. So I know Mike was saying that they were possibly at a wreck. We're going to be talking with him coming up here in just a second. Again, checking back in with our team of trackers. But again, in Norman, the sirens are sounding. And again, there is a tornado warning in effect. Mike, if you can check your live feed as well, just so we can get that pop back up, and we'll take a look at it again here in just a minute. But, again, if you're in Norman, you need to be taking your tornado precautions. But again, as we analyze this in real time, again, not to take away from the tornado warning, but I just want to be clear as we analyze this. This is fairly marginal. This is a mesocyclone. It is moving through central and southern Norman. But it's not super impressive right now. That doesn't mean it's not about to just ramp up. Doesn't mean it's about to get a little more intense. Let's go to velocities here. And as we do that, again, you can still see just kind of this broad area of spin. And I know I keep saying that, I'm just kind of relaying the information over and over because we don't have a lot of fast changing conditions with this. It's just not super impressive right now. But that doesn't mean it's not going to change. The Weather Service, they did go ahead and trigger a tornado warning for it. So this is important. Sirens continue to sound in Norman. We're located in downtown Norman. I can hear them. Tornado sirens, they're blowing here in Norman. So important information here. But let's go back to the spin rate here. And let's go and center this up here just a little bit. And again, this is in central and southern Norman. This would be the area of concern right here. And again, Main Street and Highway 9. Mike, are you still on the live line with us? Hey, Mike, go and give us an update. I know you're kind of on the back side of this storm, but go and tell us what you're seeing from your vantage point. Again, we kind of have this, real broad area of spin. It's moving through southern and central Norman. Right now on radar, it's not looking super impressive. It's strong enough that it did prompt the Weather Service to go and issue a tornado warning. This is the same storm that has produced at least 3 tornadoes as we've gone through the evening. It's now moving through Norman, high velocity winds as well.
It will end in 1 minute.
It's just not looking that impressive. But Mike, go ahead and give us an update. And it looks like we may have just lost Mike there off the live line, but that's okay. He's on the backside of that storm anyway, so we'll get back into contact with him here in just a second. But again, just to reiterate, let's go to velocities again here, Daniel. And then let's go and zoom out. Let's go and zoom it on out. And so again, tornado warning, obviously concerning, especially when you hear the sirens sounding like they currently are in Norman. Obviously gets a lot of people's attention, but again, we just want to be very clear that there is a tornado warning in effect. You need to be taking your tornado precautions, but right now it's not a super impressive area of spin moving through Norman. So Mike, I know you're back on the live line with us here. Go ahead. Mike, go ahead.
Yes, William. We're at Highway 9 and 35 here at the Riverwind Casino, and we can't tell what has happened. We do have a semi here where the trailer has taken quite a bit of damage here. We don't know what happened at all. They've got the road locked off. There's power lines right there. We got power lines down across Highway 9. That's exactly what it is, William. Right there.
We may have had a spin up. There may have been a spin up. It came up. It came up. It started to come up. And then it went down, and this is what's happened all night. Other than one time down there south of Indiahoma and even over around Cache, they spun up. They were quick. And Mike, you even had that quick spin up earlier, just east of Apache as well. And then we probably had a 6 to possibly 8 minute tornado. This was near Cement. Now, right now, it is not looking impressive at all. The Weather Service, they've got a tornado warning here. This is not very impressive. But over here near the Riverwind, it could have briefly spun back up and produce some damage. But Mike, you're looking at it. We need to get your live feed up. I don't think we're getting anything in on your live feed. If you can get a shot of that and get your live feed up, that way we can just see what's going on. But you're right there, so go ahead and keep giving us an update. Let's go back to velocities. Go ahead and keep giving us an update with what you're seeing there.
It's exactly what it is. My driver called it exactly. We do have a power line that fell on a semi. It's a Walmart truck out here. I'm checking my live feed now. And we are down on the live feed. But we do have a power line here. It's at Highway 9 right outside the Riverwind. We have one pole that is laid over onto a semi. We also have another pole that is snapped. And, William, the thing that's concerning is these are main power lines. These are the big ones that you see that have come down. As we were heading this way, my driver thought he saw power flashes just ahead of us, and now we're confirming that that is correct. We did see power flashes, as apparently they came down on this Walmart truck here. I'm starting the stream again now.
Okay. It could be two things, Mike. It could be two things, and I'll tell you this real quick as well, because we've got some high velocity winds here as well. And we had that bow come right through, and that's probably why we had the power bumps with the poles you were talking about. Because again, we're here in downtown Norman. Maybe that's what was affecting our power just a few minutes ago as well. So there's a tornado warning in effect right now. Yes. So there was an area of spin. Yes. But I'm not sure if it was a tornadic activity or we maybe had some straight line winds. That can put down power poles as well because the area of spin was it wasn't very organized. It wasn't very organized at all. But regardless, the tornado warning does continue. Let me go and check your stream again, Mike. You're still there gathering information. Keep updating us on what's going on there.
Yes. In fact, the driver of the truck has not come out of the truck at this time. We're not seeing any arcing or anything like that. So that's a good thing. And it shows us down again. But that's a good thing. We're not seeing any arcing. That does lead us to believe that the lines are dead at this time. But the driver is still in his truck. Law enforcement has blocked off the area here. We've also got our lights running, trying to help block off the area. But at this time, and we're up. At this time, we are unable to move here at Highway 9, right outside the Riverwind Casino and the Love's gas station, just right here at the Highway 9 exit off of 35. They're turning around traffic. Multiple law enforcement and safety agencies are showing up here. Right now, we don't have a good scope as to what's going on, other than we do have a truck with a power line across it here that has also crushed part of the trailer. I don't know if you've got our live feed there, William, but if you can. Yes, that is correct, William. It is a Walmart truck, and it fell right behind the cab and caught the front end of the trailer. And the power lines are draped across the trailer and across the highway at this time.
Okay, we're gonna try and restart your stream from our end again here. It looks like it's kind of froze, but it's frozen on a picture where we can actually see. Oh no, it's moving now. I see your windshield wipers moving. So it looks like it's kind of intermittently moving there. But again, there's the Walmart truck right there. So if you're just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, a tornado warning continues now for East Norman. Let's go real quickly here, Daniel, just to check this. Let's go to a spin rate real quick, and then I want to get right back to what Mike's talking about over by the Riverwind. It's right now just not, it's looking wimpy. So we don't know if this was an actual spin up, if that's what prompted the Weather Service to go and issue that warning. This could have also been straight line winds, folks. This was a bow echo that came through, and that easily could have been 80-mile-per-hour winds. That can snap power poles as well. It doesn't have to be a tornado. Right now, the spin, this is not very impressive. Let's take a look real quick at velocities as well here. And it doesn't look impressive. I think there was maybe a higher probability that these were straight line winds that came through. But this is the bottom line. And is this Mike, is this Walmart truck, is it draped across Highway 9? Or tell us exactly what angle this is at.
Yes, that is correct, William. It looks like the power pole fell from the north side of Highway 9 here, fell southward and hit this truck and immobilized it. And now we have power lines draped across all 5 lanes, because there is that, middle turning area.
Right.
We have it across all 5 lanes here, and off maybe about 50 yards off to our south, there is another power line that is completely snapped as well. Or power pole that is completely snapped as well.
Now, does it look like the truck was spun around, or was it just that it got hit with those power poles? Does it look like the truck was spun around at all?
No, it looks like it fell right behind the cab of the truck and caught the trailer and brought everything to a stop here, William.
Okay, Mike, and I was just looking through some new data coming in there as well. So you're basically right there at Highway 9 and the Riverwind, and basically, there's a tornado warning now in effect for Norman, now East Norman. The spin is really not very impressive, even though there's a tornado warning in effect there. You've got to be taking your tornado precautions. We've had some type of an incident here at the Riverwind, Highway 9 and I-35 near the Riverwind, where there's power poles down. It's over a truck. Power poles down over a truck. It's a Walmart truck. It's been disabled. The driver's still in the cab, but the Highway Patrol, the OHP, they've now shut down Highway 9. So the Highway 9 at the Riverwind is shut down. We have a disabled truck, again, with power poles and power lines over the truck. And again, the driver's still in the truck right now. We take it that the power lines have been turned off. We take it that the power lines have been turned off. We don't know that for a fact. Mike is there, and he's looking at it. Mike, go ahead.
I just zoomed in our feed here, William. If you've got it here at the studio, I've got it. These power lines, you can kind of see them very vaguely here, draped across the highway. They're maybe maybe 20 yards ahead of us, tops. So we are right here with it, right here, at them. And
Mike, we're not getting your feed. You may check your feed just real quick, only just so we can see what you're talking about. If you can, just check your feed real quick there, and so we can see what you're talking about. Let me look at the radar here too while you're doing that. I just want to look at, again, this tornado warning here. And as we're looking at it, again, it's just not, tornado warning continues from Hall Park basically out towards Lake Thunderbird in the Norman area. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. It's on radar, it's not looking super impressive. And whatever just has happened out there around the Riverwind Casino there on Highway 9, I don't necessarily know, Mike, that it was an actual spin up. That easily could have been straight line winds in this bow segment as well. So the Weather Service, they did go ahead and issue a tornado warning. This cell has at least produced 3 tornadoes as we've gone through the evening. But again, I don't know that that's what happened out there at the Riverwind. So we're still checking your feed. There's nothing there. It looks like it's coming up now. And so we'll go back to it. It looks like it's just a little intermittent. But again, so you're, okay, so now, yeah, we can see it now. Okay, it's coming in now. So again, we saw the disabled truck just a minute ago, but Mike, go ahead and, again, if there are folks just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, give us an update. What's going on out at the Riverwind and Highway 9? And Mike, I think he's still on the live line. We may have lost him just momentarily. If not, at least we've got his video up, and we're going to be talking with Mike again here in just a second. Okay, we'll talk. We'll get Mike back on the live line here in just a second. Okay, here we go.
We just got notified by a state trooper here. They are going to go ahead and close us down for a while. So we are going to be turning around, William, to kind of get back towards the metro here. We're going to be turning around, going to the next intersection back, dropping a mile south, and then getting back on I-35 and heading back north.
Okay.
It does appear that they're going to be here for a while.
Mike, you might stay there just for a second, just so we can let your video continue to come in. If you guys are kind of at a good spot there, you might just continue to hold that shot just for a few more minutes while we kind of gather information on what's going on there. But again, that's right there around the Riverwind Casino, Highway 9 and I-35. There's been some type of an incident there. We don't know if it was maybe a brief spin up or if it was maybe straight line winds that have moved through. But again, whatever it is, it snapped some power lines, some power poles came down, actually on apparently a Walmart truck. The truck is now disabled. Mike, is the driver still in the truck? Did you say the driver was still in the truck?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and is there any reason why? Is there any reason why he's not?
They're not pulling him out yet.
Okay, and is there any reason for that, or is it just he's staying in there because it's raining, or is there any thought that maybe the power lines are still active?
Well, one of the state troopers just came to up close to him, and they told him to go ahead and stay put. So,
okay,
and in fact, they're now moving us out of the area as well, William, so that they can possibly get other emergency personnel in here, or wreckers, or power companies. But yes, William, I'm looking now. Yeah, it does appear that a power line came down from the south side and struck this semi and disabled it. But this time we are now moving back towards west, and we will be coming back your way. But at this time, it does look like Highway 9 is going to be shut down right at the Riverwind. So if you're trying to travel west on Highway 9, you need to find a different route to head westbound.
Yeah, and especially for the folks out there at the Riverwind, if they're done, gambling for the night, they might have trouble even getting out of there. You know what I mean?
Actually, William, I believe the power lines fell just to the west of the Riverwind. The Riverwind, I don't know if they're running off of what kind of power they're running off of. We are getting hail now as well here, just outside of the Riverwind Casino. Probably nickel size is what we're receiving so far. But it is completely dark out here. They have lost power, of course. Mm-hmm. And they are slowly getting us where we need to be.
Okay. Well, we're going to continue to monitor that as well. I just want to bring everyone up to date again with this tornado warning that continues for East Norman. Let's go back to velocities here just real quick. Let's go and take another look inside the storm. I'm not sure what prompted the Weather Service to go and issue this tornado warning. I mean, we've obviously had this incident out here near the Riverwind Casino where there's power poles down on a truck. There could have been a brief spin up or it could have been straight line winds. I think there's maybe a higher probability these were straight line winds, not necessarily a spin up. Whatever, the Weather Service, they went ahead and prompted a tornado warning. They haven't canceled it. It does continue. There's a broad area of spin, but there's nothing super concerning. I mean, just to be real honest with you, let's take a look at the spin right here. And, you know, we just kind of have this elongated area of spin out here. So, I mean, officially the tornado warning continues. This is basically out over Lake Thunderbird right now. So the tornado warning continues. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. There's no doubt about it. But there just wasn't a super impressive signal of tornadic activity, and there hasn't been through Norman. So that doesn't mean don't take your tornado precautions. It just hasn't been overly alarming. I think whatever's happened out here, again, Highway 9, I-35 at the Riverwind Casino, you know, our lead storm tracker, Mike Russ, he's reporting there's a semi-truck disabled. Power lines are down on the semi-truck. Highway 9 is closed. And I think it could have been more straight line winds than a brief spin up. But Mike, you're still on the live line with us, is that right?
Yes, William.
Go ahead. For those, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine, William. We're coming down this county road right now, and we're not seeing anything consistent with. We saw a sign when we turned left of a sign that had come down, but we're not seeing any widespread wind damage here. So I'm not sure if what happened here. I don't exactly know, and of course we can't get a true answer about it. But at this time, I don't see any other damage in the area other than we had one other sign blown down, just, you know, maybe 400, 500 yards back. Now we do have some smaller limbs down.
Right.
Just twigs, more or less.
Right. Mike, go and tell us one more time. For those folks just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, we just want to be very clear about what's going on here in Norman. So there is a tornado warning right now in effect for really eastern portions of Norman, all the way out to Lake Thunderbird. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. There doesn't appear to be on radar an immediate tornado threat. Just to be honest with you, that doesn't mean don't take your tornado precautions when there's a tornado warning that has been issued. There's been some type of a situation out at the Riverwind Casino, and I don't necessarily know that it was a spin up. It could have been straight line winds, straight line damaging winds. Could have been the culprit for this. But what we know right now, and this is from our lead storm tracker, Mike Russ, they drove up on the situation there. There's essentially a semi-truck. It's been disabled on Highway 9. It hasn't been spun around, but there have been power poles that have fallen on the semi-truck. It's disabled, and essentially the OHP has now closed Highway 9. So again, we don't know, you know, was it a spin up? Was there some type of brief tornadic activity that caused this issue? Or again, was it straight line winds? But again, regardless, Highway 9 at 8 I-35 near the Riverwind Casino, it is closed, and there is a semi-truck. And again, the tornado warning was just dropped. So the tornado warning is canceled, no longer in effect for Norman. Okay, so, but we don't necessarily know, again, what happened out at the Riverwind Casino. I personally think it could have been straight line winds. We didn't really have any indications on radar that there was an immediate spin-up threat of any type of tornadic activity.
Sure it's a spin-up.
Mike, go ahead.
If I was a betting man, I'd bet every dollar I had that it was a spin-up. We are finding damage now on this county road that they brought us down. That it's very consistent to a small spin-up directly in line with that semi. It looks like a brief funnel may have come down and traveled almost due north. And we're seeing a lot of we saw very inconsistent damage with straight line winds. Because with straight line winds, you typically get everything blown in one direction. We found a tree that was completely uprooted out here, and one was blown one way, the other tree was blown the other way. One blown north, one blown south. So I'm really believing that we had a brief spin up right here, right outside Riverwind Casino, and that may have been why they issued that tornado warning, William.
There could have been. I mean, as we're looking at this, I just backed the radar up, and so backed the radar all the way up. This is when it was basically out there on Highway 9 and I-35, and so this is the spin rate product. Let's also go and take a look at velocities. There was a small couplet here, and this is again as it was right there at I-35. So I-35 and Old Highway 9 going to the west. So there was a brief couplet right there, or could that have been some high velocity straight line damaging winds right there too? You see, so there was a small couplet. Daniel, go and put on the spin rate real quick there. And so even as we take a look at the spin rate, I mean, we got at least some indication of some little area of spin right there. So I mean, it could have been either way. I mean, it could have been a brief spin up, or it could have been some damaging winds. There was a little indication of something right there.
Very tight,
so,
William.
yeah, and this is tight on the radar as well. So it could have been a small spin up. I mean, it really could have been, or it could have just been kind of an area of damaging winds or such. But again, regardless, not a good situation right now, especially out there at the Riverwind on Highway 9, with Highway 9 being closed. But Mike, go and kind of give us another update and kind of update the folks on kind of what happened as you guys rolled up on the scene out there. Again, Highway 9, the Riverwind, and I-35 with this truck being disabled and the power lines down over the truck. If you're still there, we may have just lost Mike. Let's take a look here.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, Mike, just kind of recap it for our viewers just real quick and let us know.
Yes, we stopped at the Highway 9 here right outside the Riverwind, where a power pole had come down across a semi. They rerouted us back to the west and then another mile south to come around the damage area and back up to I-35 here. Of course, this area is completely without power here, but we did drive through a damage path. I mean, literally a path of maybe, it wasn't very wide at all, William. In all honesty, what would you say, Jesse? Yeah, like Jesse just said, maybe 50 to 100 yards wide of trees that had laid down. Some were facing north, some were facing south.
And Mike, it looks like, and Daniel just found this on radar here, it looks like there was a fairly decent, I said this earlier, whenever you get greens and then you get a yellow, as long as my experience with this product, this is our spin rate, this is a little bit of a different product on the radar. Let's zoom this in a little bit more, Daniel. And he found this just a second ago on the time lapse here, right at the Riverwind and I-35, green and yellow. So that was a little spin up. There had to be a little spin up right there. So anytime there's yellow, we've never not had a spin up. And so there was a spin up right at the Riverwind, and that's what happened. And that, unfortunately, that truck got caught up in that, and that's where the power poles went down. And so green to yellow, absolutely. It does look like there was a spin up. That's what prompted the tornado warning for the rest of Norman. I mean, by then, as it really moved into Norman, I mean, this quickly went away. And so, as we were working the tornado warning here in Norman, there just wasn't a lot of spin there because, again, that's what we say throughout the night. These can spin up so quickly. And again, that's exactly what we had, again, out there by the Riverwind, just west of Norman. So I-35 and Highway 9, and again, it's still closed, again, with that truck being disabled there. But that's the way it looks right now. And Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you have a little bit more to pass, go and keep kind of updating us on what's going on out there.
No, William, you're fine. We're now on on Interstate 35 heading back northbound. We are watching. We're trying to see if maybe by chance it may have crossed I-35 even, but we're not seeing anything right now. However, there's one important thing. I know we say it every time there's storms, but again, we're finding people now parking underneath the underpasses again, and that creates such a dangerous situation for, of course, ourselves, the law enforcement agencies, all emergency personnel, for that matter. It creates a very hard situation for us to avoid you guys underneath those underpasses. So please, if you're out there and you're hearing us, don't park underneath an underpass. Go ahead and take an exit. Get to a gas station if you feel the need, but don't park underneath these interstate underpasses. That is very dangerous. But again, we're still not seeing anything across I-35. that would signify that it crossed anywhere. So we're still looking, but we're not seeing anything yet.
Okay. And here in Norman, again, obviously the locally heavy rain, kind of the bow echoes moving on through. Let's go and kind of widen out the view here. Let's go and widen out the view here just a little bit. And again, Mike and Jesse, they're down there at the Riverwind Casino. Again, Mike's kind of been updating us on this incident we had down there. It looks like we did have a brief spin up almost directly over the Riverwind, and it did snap some power poles. This is their shot of it here. It did snap some power poles, and again, it basically disabled a truck, and it is still basically essentially causing Highway 9 at I-35 right there by the Riverwind to be closed. So not a good situation there. Otherwise, here in the metro, again, we basically have this bow line moving through. We do have flash flood warnings in effect now as well. Again, locally heavy rain falling here in the metro, ponding on the roadways. I know it's Saturday night, so if for any reason anyone is out in the metro, definitely keep in mind ponding on the roadways. And again, also those flash flood warnings in effect for eastern Oklahoma County all the way down through Moore and North Norman. Again, flash flood warnings in effect. So let's go and widen out the view just a little bit more, Daniel, just to kind of give an overview of the entire state. And we're going to get right back to Mike, Russ, and Jesse. Again, they're right down there around the Riverwind Casino, again, where the truck is disabled. Again, the power lines are down, and we're going to talk to them again coming up here in just a second. So we continue with the severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Oklahoma County. Now, down here in Norman, the severe thunderstorm warnings expired. Even up across portions of northern Oklahoma, severe thunderstorm warnings expired. The only other warning is down here in southern Grady County. Let's take the radar a little bit further down to the south. And let's go a little bit further. Yeah, let's kind of zoom in on these here. So we've got Grady County, we've got Stevens County, severe thunderstorm warnings here. And again, that's primarily going to be for a wind, 65, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. But again, from Duncan, basically all the way up through the Marlow area, and then all the way back up through the Rush Springs area, Bray included there as well. Again, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And again, locally heavy rain, vivid lightning, again, as those severe thunderstorm warnings continue down there in southern Oklahoma. Let's go and zoom it out again. And let's go up into portions of Oklahoma County here as well. And that's where our other severe thunderstorm warning is currently in effect. And this is for eastern Oklahoma County, basically from, and we'll center this up here as well, basically from, it looks like from Arcadia all the way down through the Midwest City, Del City, Tinker area. And again, also Jones, Spencer, Choctaw, those locations included. Again, 60, 65, maybe near some 70 mile per hour winds possible here. Let's quickly check the hail core tracker as well, just to see if we're dealing with any hail. Overall, the hail threat's been easing down. It looks like over around the Tinker diagonal, you can see maybe some dimes, maybe a couple quarters showing up there, but overall the hail threat easing down. As we go back to a reflectivity, and then we'll go a little bit further down to the south, again down here in Norman. Again, tornado warning no longer in effect. We did have a brief spin up there around the Riverwind Casino, Highway 9 and I-35. Again, we had a truck disabled with power poles over the truck. Not a good situation. Mike and Jesse are down there on that. And again, here in Norman, locally heavy rain continues pushing out towards Lake Thunderbird, even back down through Noble, back down through Purcell. Again, locally heavy rain there as well. So let's do this. Mike, if you're still on the live line, go and give us another update with what's going on out there by the Riverwind, again with the disabled truck. Go and give us another update with what's going on out there.
Yes, we went up to the next exit, Williams, to kind of look to see if maybe it had come across this area over here. Then we got more emergency personnel over here, Jesse. So that's going to be north of the Riverwind too. It does look like it just ran parallel to 35 for a minute. We have emergency personnel going up the roads here, doing damage searching and stuff like that. So it does appear that we for sure had a brief spin up here right outside of the Riverwind. Now the Riverwind does appear to have power at this time. However, I don't know if that. Hey, wait. Okay, no, you're good. I couldn't tell that Russ came in here. But we don't know if they're running a generator right now. That's the only guess we have because everything else is dark. I couldn't even see the LUDs right here at this exit as emergency personnel drove past it. So I can't see if the LUDs had any damage or not. So we're really checking this area out. In fact, I think we're going to go back where the LUD is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, William, we're even looking at the sign here. I don't know if you've got our live feed. Even the sign here is almost torn off the light bulb.
Let's go and check. Yeah, let's go and take a look at this. Let me see if we can get your light. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and kind of zoom in on that. Let's go. You know what? Let's go and take your shot full here. Let's go and take your shot full. And so where are you guys out there? Basically at the intersection of Highway 9 and looks like we just missed it there, of Highway 9 and I-35. Is that where you guys are right now?
Yes, that is correct, William.
Okay.
In fact, now we have fire. Sorry. Go in there. There? Yeah, go in there for now. We've also got fire departments on scene now.
Okay.
It does look like they're blocking off Riverwind, in fact.
Is there power at the Loves?
No.
Okay.
Riverwind,
They have backup generators. The Riverwind, they do have backup generators, so they're probably running on backup generators right now. But you know, we had the power bumps even here at our downtown Norman studio as well. You know, we could tell we were taking some hits here. We have backup as well, but we were taking some hits. We knew it. But that's when this right here was going on. And again, this is down here around the Riverwind, I-35 and Highway 9 in Norman. And Mike and Jesse right there on scene. Again, we've had a brief spin up, and there has been some damage here. In fact, there's power poles over a semi, and the semi is still disabled. There's the Loves right there. So Loves is without power. And we'll check a system watch here as well and see if other parts of Norman are without power. But that's just technically just west of Norman, just west of I-35 there, and Old Highway 9. So again, this was a spin up.
William, even the pumps here appear to be blown out. All the bottoms are blown outward. So this is, and all the trash cans are in every direction out here.
Okay.
So we're still watching or trying to figure out exactly what happened. But it's, again, like I said earlier, if I was a betting man, especially sitting outside the Riverwind right here, I'd be placing all my bets right now that there was a brief spin up.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. Even from what we saw on radar with that pixel yellow when we were talking about that just a second ago, it looks like there was a spin up right over the Riverwind right there at that Highway 9 I-35 junction. And we may have just lost Mike there real quick.
No, I'm still here. We're repositioning. My driver and I were communicating as to where we were moving to next to try to look at everything.
Okay, and we're just getting information
we're
in
here.
here.
We're going to go ahead and come up on the backside. They do have the Riverwind blocked off here. Actually, we have a vehicle that I don't know if they wrecked or stalled out. Yeah, there is. It looks like we may have had a wreck right at the entrance to the Riverwind here that they're trying to remove debris from now. Oh, he hit the barrier. That's what it is. They have the barriers right outside that river, right outside the entrance of the Riverwind Casino, and we have a car that apparently slid into those barriers as well. So this is a fairly an area that you really want to avoid right now. And we have a lot of traffic that's coming into the area and out. Pretty much everyone's flipping around and trying to leave the area. Go ahead and pull in there, Jesse, and let's get a shot of that other power line here, power pole. Show the viewers exactly what we're talking about when we said that there was a power pole down to the south of Highway 9 here. They've got a spotlight. So this is a very active area. If you're wanting to come out here and just looky-loo, and I hate to use that term, but we are out here. Just please watch our feed. We are trained. We do know what we're doing out here. We don't know if they have any if any of the lines are active right now. We don't think so, but of course we want people to be safe. Yes, in fact, that's the whole tree. We have and I don't even know where it came from. There wasn't a tree there. There's nothing snapped off. We have a whole tree blocking part of the entrance into the Riverwind as well. And like I just told my driver, there wasn't a tree trunk there, so it's laid down across the road, and we don't know where it came from.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But it does look like the Riverwind missed it. It looks like it was just literally yards to the west of the Riverwind Casino. Yeah, go back. Yeah, we're going to go towards the west side of the Riverwind parking lot here. and see if we can see anything, if maybe even the west side of Riverwind, maybe the parking lot got damaged.
What I'm doing,
So
I'm just.
if you'll just bear with us here, we've got trash cans everywhere. There's another tree with no tree there.
And real quick, Mike, while you're also showing us that video, I just want to show this again for those of the folks just now joining us on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. This was our mesocyclone spin rate, and of course, this being I-35 Highway 9, and you can see green going to yellow. That's where we had that brief touchdown, basically right there at the junction, I-35 and Highway 9, and that prompted a tornado warning there from the National Weather Service. But again, right there, green going to yellow, there was the spin up. I mean, essentially right over the Riverwind. And again, we've had some damage. We still have a truck disabled blocking Highway 9 currently with power poles down. Again, that area basically without power, Love's without power. And again, Mike's saying even it looks like there was some damage to the bottom of the gas pumps
Okay, William,
at the Love's there as well.
We're going to get a shot for you here, right in front of our truck here. As you can see here, we have a tree branch completely dismantled from the tree. We have one tree down. One tree is almost, the whole top is stripped out of it. But I'm going to try to zoom in here, William. We actually have sheet metal wrapped into this tree right now. I just zoomed in. I know, I apologize. It's nighttime. It's a little hard to see here. But we definitely, there we go. I just fixed it a little bit.
Mike, it looks like your stream may have almost even locked up just a little bit there. It might be lagging or even maybe locked up. I don't even know if there was some damage to maybe some of the cell phone towers there or not. So hopefully this will kick right back in. But go and tell us again, so you have some sheet metal you said wrapped around the tree. Is that what it was? Or say that one more time.
Yes, we have sheet metal wrapped into this tree right here. I'm checking our feed right now, and I think it is due to damage out here.
I think it's back up. It just kicked back in. Your feed just kicked back in, so it's fine. It's moving again.
Okay. But yes, if you can see it here, we do have sheet metal wrapped into the tree here. So this was definitely a spin up. We had a small tornado come through this area. We have tree branches all out, but it does not appear that the Riverwind was hit. It appeared that it was just literally maybe 200 yards west of the Riverwind Casino. So we're out here. Actually, go over there too.
So Mike, while you guys are positioning there as well, go and tell us again. So, I mean, the bottom line, especially for the folks that live out in this area, there's widespread power outages the way it looks right now there on the western sides of Norman, pushing out towards portions of Newcastle. But also, what about the semi that's disabled? Is it still on Highway 9? The very latest on that, some power lines actually came down on the semi. And at last check, the actual driver of the semi, Mike, is this right, was still in the truck?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and say they probably removed him by now, but the truck is still on Highway 9, right outside the Riverwind Casino here. And as you can see, I just zoomed the camera in again. They're on the power lines just to the west of the Riverwind Casino. These extend all the way across, so this is a broad area of down power lines here as well. So I think
your video's lagging just a little bit, and it might be just because there's a lot of people maybe using their cell phones there, or maybe there's some issues with the cell phone service out there. I mean, it's just kind of intermittently moving. So as you're talking about the power lines, we're not able to see it. It'll kick back in and move again here in a minute, but we're not visually able to see exactly what you're talking about. The video is just coming in a little bit slow, and it's moving again, so it'll catch up here in a minute. But it's just kind of moving slow, I'm sure, with all the cell phone traffic and maybe some of the issues that are going on out there right now. Maybe those are the power poles there, I think is maybe what we're seeing. But again, not a good situation. So we definitely, at least from the looks on radar, we did have a brief spin up, essentially right over the Riverwind Casino. There's power outages around the area. There's a truck, semi-truck that's basically disabled. And let's see, we're getting just a little bit of feedback there too. It looks like there's a truck that's disabled over Highway 9. And again, the reason for that is because there's actually been power lines down over the truck. And again, outside of that, Mike was also mentioning that the Loves travel stop there, no power, but it looked like maybe some of the gas pumps had even been damaged there as well. Trash cans blown around. So, not major tornado damage, but I mean, this is, this obviously happened. You know what I mean? Especially, fortunately for the driver of the truck, I mean, from the information we've gathered so far, it sounds like he's okay. It took him maybe a minute to get him out of the truck. Again, with the power lines over the truck, they were able to get him down and get him out of there from what it sounds like. But again, the Riverwind, they're on backup power. They have major backup generators there. They're on backup power, and so the lights are still there. I'm not sure if people are maybe still kind of sheltering in place there in the Riverwind, or if people are leaving. Mike, maybe you can update us on that. You're kind of driving around the Riverwind parking lot there. Are people leaving? Are they making them shelter in place at all, or is it kind of back to business as usual now since the storm has moved on through?
They're blocking off the Riverwind and not allowing people to come into it, basically, but they're letting people leave for sure here. Of course, you have a lot of law enforcement agencies at the Riverwind right now.
Hey, Mike, I just want to add this in as well. I just got a report here on my phone from someone else that is saying there is some damage at the Riverwind. They are reporting some damage at the Riverwind, even on the really on the hotel portion of it, on the southern sides of it. And maybe, Mike, if you're in the parking lot, if you drive around, and we can actually get a shot of that as well, but it looks like on the hotel portion, on the back end of the Riverwind, it looks like there's maybe some significant, at least exterior damage. I know your video's kind of in and out here for whatever reason, but if you pull around, it looks like there's some substantial exterior damage again to that hotel portion of the Riverwind on the back side.
Yes, William, we're gonna head over there right now.
Okay, if you guys are able to, I know it's kind of a fluid situation there, but again, if you're able to, that would be a great shot to get. But there has been some damage to the Riverwind building, and it looks like specifically the hotel portion there on the back side of it. So just to recap, again, right now, no tornado warnings in effect anywhere in Oklahoma. It's been a long weather day. We've been covering this all day long. Really, by our count, at least here in Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, we've had at least 3 tornadoes today. Mike Russ saw one just east of Apache. We had another one I tracked on radar. Mike was there. It was just too dark, and it was north of Cement, maybe for 6 to maybe 8 minutes on the ground. Then we also had a reported tornado just south of Indiahoma. That was west of Lawton earlier. And then late this evening, we've also had this brief touchdown here near the Riverwind Casino, I-35 and Highway 9 in Norman. And there has been some damage here. In fact, Highway 9 is still closed. There's power poles down over a semi-truck. Semi-truck stalled on Highway 9. Mike and Jesse, they're there. And in fact, they're kind of pulling around the parking lot to get us some better pictures. The Love's travel stop there, there's been some reported damage there. Mike saw even to the gas pumps there as well.
We're also getting reports, William, that there may be a gas leak at the Riverwind Casino here.
Okay.
And they're not letting people leave at this time, not out of the casino.
Okay, so
if
there's
you're in the parking lot, they're pulling people out. But
okay.
If you're inside, they're keeping you in there right now.
Okay, so they're making people shelter in place in the Riverwind. And again, yeah. we're just getting reports here that there was some fairly, when we say significant damage, there was some exterior damage. Let's put it that way. There was some exterior damage. And again, we're seeing this as well. Mike's video's right, and I think we're just now seeing the sheet metal, Mike. So your video, it's kind of lagging. I'm sure there's a lot of people on their cell phone and there's power outages there. So the video's lagging, but we're just now seeing that sheet metal you were talking about. Your video's just now catching up to that. So that's part of the damage that we're seeing there as well. Again, out at the Riverwind.
Yes, that is correct. We are right here where everybody is. I believe the cell phone towers are kind of getting a little bit jammed, which makes our data suffer because we can pull away and we've got data again. But we're struggling right now with data. But we are going around the hotel portion right now, and we're not seeing anything yet. But we are looking at this time. So bear with us while we try to find exactly where this damage might. There it is. I found some. Yes, we have windows blown out on some of the lower levels here that we're seeing at the hotel. So it looks like the second room from the south here. The window is completely out. Oh, yes, back up.
And I just want to
Okay,
show
we're
this
gonna go-
while you guys
we're
are
gonna pull
positioning there.
around.
I just want to show this as well. Daniel just found this on radar as well. And this was it. I mean, this is Highway 9, I-35, west of Norman. There's the Riverwind right there, and this was it right there. So I mean, this was a touchdown. It was a quick one, but it was a touchdown. And again, you can see, some of the damage that these things can do. Even if it's a quick spin up, these things can still do real damage. And we're really lucky. I mean, that guy in the semi, I tell you what, he's really lucky with those power poles that came down on him. And again, the semi being disabled there on Highway 9 and the rain and the dark. I mean, worst case scenario, not good. And so he's really lucky that he's okay. Thank goodness that there was no additional problems there. And again, right now we don't have any reports of injuries. So that's the other good news as well. But again, Mike, you're there. Go ahead and keep kind of feeding us the information there.
Yes, William. We're actually looking at the going to be the southeast side of the casino hotel here, and just he's kind of zooming it in. The whole, I can't tell if it looks like the roof area on the side here has completely pulled apart. There's a whole, probably 3 rooms right now that appear to have like no roof. We just got it in the live feed shot, so bear with us. I know the data's kind of lacking here, and I do apologize for that.
No. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and restart. Well, actually, it might be catching up now. So obviously, we're kind of dealing with probably a lot of people that are sheltering now in the Riverwind. They're probably all on their cell phones, and obviously with the intermittent power outages there as well, we're just having a little bit of trouble. So Mike's stream, it's intermittently coming in. It'll kind of go, then it stops. Okay, so we're kind of lagging a little bit. So what he's talking about, it's just taking it a second to catch up. There's nothing else we can do, obviously, with this fluid situation there. But Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That shot should be popping up here fairly quickly, though.
Okay. Yes, William. We're still here. We're kind of moving because traffic is moving through this parking lot right now. I don't know if maybe they're letting people out, but there's a lot of traffic that's coming through the area. But we're going to go ahead and go to the south side of this parking lot and see if maybe any cars received damage. I know we had trash that was stuck on a pickup's antenna out here, but so far we haven't seen any damage to vehicles yet or anything like that. It looks like it just kind of came across.
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update. I was just looking at some other information here as well. What I want to do real quick, I want to take a radar update here as well and just talk about what's currently going on out there. And as we do that, because obviously we're talking about what happened here on the western sides of Norman, but we do still have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings out there around Oklahoma. So let's go and take a look at Mesoscan XR. We're going to get right back to Mike with an update of, again, what's going on out there around the Riverwind Casino. Again, tornado touchdown, brief one, quick one, but still did some damage out there. And we have one fellow Oklahoman, or at least one fellow person that, again, was in a semi-truck, power poles down over Highway 9. Truck became disabled, but luckily he was able to get out of the truck. And again, right now reports are that, again, he's okay. But let's talk about what's going on out there right now. And as we kind of widen out Mesoscan here, again, you can basically see this line of storm. So basically from northeastern Oklahoma, just west of the Tulsa Metro, all the way down into the Oklahoma City Metro, east of the Oklahoma City Metro. Most of this now not necessarily severe. There is a bit of a bow echo there just east of the Oklahoma City Metro, pushing out towards portions of Shawnee. Severe there, opportunity for 65-mile-per-hour winds. And then the southerly fringes of this down here in Stevens County, down around Duncan, also back over here into portions of Garvin County, an opportunity for some 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds there as well. Tornado watch does continue for portions of eastern Oklahoma. However, right now the immediate tornado threat, it is easing down. But again, as we've really gone through the day, as we've gone through the evening, we probably had 3 or 4 at least fairly brief touchdowns. One maybe 6 to 7 minute tornado just north of Cement, again, as we've gone through the evening. But it's been a very active weather day, again, as expected. across Oklahoma. And of course, a big thanks to Mike and Jesse, part of our team of trackers. In fact, Mike, our lead storm tracker, doing a great job on these storms, again, from southwestern Oklahoma and again, all the way now up into portions of central Oklahoma. We did have the brief spin up right around the right around the Riverwind Casino, rather, to I-35 and Highway 9 here in Norman. There has been some damage. And again, Mike and Jesse, they're basically out there on it right now. Their video is running a little bit slow. It's lagging a little bit here because we're having some cell phone issues. There's a lot of folks that are in the Riverwind. They're on their cell phone most likely. And of course, with the power disruptions there as well, it's kind of making this lag a little bit. But we're still looking at his live video. And it looks like it's just now where he's actually pulling around there to where the hotel is, where there's some of the damage on the back side near the hotel, Mike. We're just now seeing that. But go and give us a live update there.
Okay, yes, William, sorry about that. We're getting reports from law enforcement that even on the south side, I guess when the storm started arriving, a customer or a patron of the casino or hotel here had opened one of the doors, and due to the pressure drop and the wind flow and everything, that's what actually started causing these lower levels to blow out their windows here at the hotel. So that is kind of an interesting story that we're hearing out here at the Riverwind Casino right now. So again, we're seeing all this damage here on the south. It looks like the south. It's going to be the southeast side of the casino. But of course, we are going through the parking lot right now. We keep searching for more damage, William. But this was a fairly strong area that came through. In fact, we're seeing more debris here, littering the parking lot now. So there is quite a bit of damage out here. Blackman Mooring, the flood specialists have already shown up here on scene. So they're checking out the hotel and casino. Of course, all the emergency personnel, wreckers are starting to show up. We haven't seen any damaged vehicles, though, as of yet. So I'm not exactly sure why all the wreckers we're starting to see all these wreckers show up. So we're still watching here. Go back that way, just go to the right. It does appear that they are still keeping people inside the casino right now at this time. So I don't know exactly what's going on. We're not smelling any gas leaks or anything like that. They're not, blocking us out of here, but they're apparently still not letting the patrons of the casino leave yet.
So they're still making them shelter in place. Is that what it is?
That's exactly what it appears to be, William. Again, we don't know if that's from maybe the gas leak that we heard about, or if it's something else, maybe while they're trying to make sure that there's no other damage to vehicles or something like that. We don't know exactly why, but they do have people kind of in the casino not letting them leave yet. They've got security at the door. There's people at the doors. But right now, like I said, law enforcement, of course, media is here, and wreckers are here kind of combing this parking lot right now, looking for damage, looking for anything that might be a potential hazard out here in the parking lot right now, William.
Yeah, no, absolutely makes sense, Mike. Absolutely makes sense. And then as far as the damage over at the Loves, I mean, anything, and we're just now seeing actually in your shot, Mike, again, everything's lagging, but this was the damage actually right there to the actual hotel on the backside. Again, we're just dealing with everyone being on their cell phone. Look at that, wow. Okay, so that's pretty impressive right there, Mike. We're just now seeing that. Again, you're again, because everyone's on their cell phones out there, power outages, we're lagging here on the video. But look at that, yeah, that is actually some fairly significant exterior damage there on the hotel on the back side of it. Not good there at all. Yeah, we're literally just now seeing that. That's just now coming in from your live feed there. And you said over at the Loves there was possibly some gas pumps that were basically torn up, for lack of a better word, as well.
Yes, William. It almost looked like they kind of exploded from the inside out at the bases there, which was really kind of weird for me to see. Now, I know we're lagging, and I apologize to the viewers for that. But again, we run off of data very similar to your cell phone data. So when cell phone towers get clogged, our data gets clogged. So everything kind of lags behind, and I deeply apologize about that. But here in my shot now, what I'm seeing now, what you guys will see in just a minute, we have a tree that there's no place for this tree. So go ahead, Jeff. So this tree has come from somewhere else. We don't know where, and that is a full tree. And it has come from somewhere that it landed here in the parking lot. So we don't know where that tree came from, but it is blocking part of the entrance here to the Riverwind. So this is still a fairly dynamic situation here where we're still continuing to gather information. But then the other thing we want to do, William, is we want to go back to that road where we first saw, where we concluded that this was a tornado that came through this area, and kind of take a better look at what damage is over in that area. So that's going to be about a quarter mile south and a little bit west of the Riverwind Casino here. So we're going to go down there and check that out as well. Well, maybe they kind of get people out of this area.
Okay, Mike, we actually got a brand new tornado warning coming out here as well, and this is going to be just east. I think it's actually going to be the exact same cell. It's recycling back up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get back over to radar. Mike, we're going to get right back to you here in just a second. But this is coming out just east of the Oklahoma City Metro. Let me get the specifics on it. Just real quick, the Weather Service are just either about to, or they're just now issuing it. So let's see. We got a brand new tornado warning. This is going to be for Pottawatomie and Seminole County. That's until 10:15 this evening. So let's go and take a closer look at this here. And again, I believe it's actually for the exact same cell that that came through. Again, produced that's a brief spin up there here in the Norman area. This is actually the same cell that has been tornado warned that Mike has tracked and is just now plotting on the map. That again, Mike has been tracking again as we've gone through the evening, basically from southwestern Oklahoma. But again, if you live right now with the brand new tornado warning coming out, again, if you live from Earlsboro all the way over through Seminole, over there in Seminole County, tornado warning. You need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions, and you need to be doing it right now. Let's go to spin rate here. And yep, there it is. Can we zoom in on that just a little bit, Daniel? So just like I've said throughout the evening with this spin rate product, and even with this brief spin up out there by the Riverwind, the brief one, greens to yellow, there's some type of tornadic activity. And it never fails with this product. We've seen it all night long. I mean, as long as we've used this, it's always been the case. Even out there by the Riverwind, green to yellow, there it is. There's a spin up. It was brief. You saw it was another brief one. And it may be easing down now. Regardless, there's a tornado warning now in effect. It's tracking back over here towards Seminole. That was just east. There. Is that the Brooksville area? Quick spin up there. It went green to yellow, and now it's still tracking back over towards Seminole. But again, regardless, if you're in Seminole, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. But it was another brief spin up there. Let's take a look at velocities real quick as well. And that happened just east of Brooksville, but that was very similar to what we saw at the Riverwind. That was very similar to what Mike had earlier just east of Apache, and that was very similar to what we had, again, the same storm. This is the same storm from just west of Lawton down there around Indiahoma, just brief spin-ups, just like that. And again, that's exactly what we have, and right there. So not super impressive on the velocity product, but again, you can kind of see the curvature right there, If we can, let's take a look at reflectivity here as well. If we can, let's take a look at reflectivity here. And as we go back to our reflectivity, so there we go right there. So a little bit, and this has been advanced now just a little bit, but there's kind of at least the curvature with it. But I mean, there's still tornado threat. It looks like it was another brief spin up. It looked like it was another brief one. But again, regardless, a new tornado warning in effect now for Seminole County and for actually the town of Seminole. Let's go back to the spin rate product.
They've started evacuating Riverwind now.
Okay, and Mike was just saying, and I think you guys just heard him as well, that they're now evacuating. Are they evacuating Riverwind, or are they just letting people out, Mike?
We have a constant line of vehicles now leaving the casino, and the parking lot, of course, is filling up and forming a nice orderly line to get out of there.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they've evacuated. I know we just drove around back, and they were checking the generators. So I don't know if maybe they're expecting to have a problem with the generators, and maybe that's why, people are leaving. I don't know exactly what that is, but there were a lot of personnel out there with their generators. and now the casino is actually, everyone's leaving it. So
Okay.
we're still out here watching it. We're going to go to that other damage area and see if we can't get something on footage there too, William.
Okay, we're gonna get right back to that, Mike. I want to talk about this tornado warning here, just as this is kind of breaking now as well. And again, this is a new tornado warning. Again, this is for Potawatomi and Seminole County. We had just this brief spin up. It looked like another brief spin up. We still have an area of rotation, an area of concern here. This is going to be tracking over here towards Seminole, but this is the same storm since south. In fact, this one here, it actually started in North Texas, and we've been tracking it from southwestern Oklahoma all the way through. If that was an actual tornado just a few minutes ago, that was probably the 5th tornado of the day with that one cell, with that one storm. Most of them being brief spin-ups. I think there was maybe a 6-minute tornado north of Cement earlier. Let's go to velocities here real quick. And again, as we take a look at the wind flow within the storm, again, you know, not super impressive, but you can still see the area of spin right here. A lot of times along the leading edges of these squall lines, you'll get kind of those brief little spin ups, and that most likely is what just happened. Very similar to what happened down by the Riverwind, again causing damage there on the western sides of Norman. But again, I think that was probably just another brief little spin up. As we go back to the spin rate product, this kind of shows it just a little bit better. And so again, still an area of spin, but you see it kind of coming down there. And again, not just not as impressive as it was just a few minutes ago. Again, it doesn't take away from the tornado warning. The tornado warning does continue there, still around the Seminole area, tracking towards the Seminole area rather. Even Earlsboro, you folks up there, that's far eastern portions of Potawatomi County. There's the county line right there, but Earlsboro, again, under that tornado warning there as well. But again, it looked like another kind of brief spin up. Looks like it's maybe easing down just a little bit right now, but as has been the case, as we've really gone all evening with this storm specifically right here, it'll spin up, it'll ease down, and then it will spin back up. And again, like I said, this was most likely the 5th tornado that it's produced today. Again, 4 of them being fairly brief and quick, but again, I think we did have that 1 6 to maybe 7 to 8 minute tornado north of Cement. So, you know, not a lot of fast changing weather conditions with this one here, but we've got to continue to track it. And again, for our friends, our fellow Oklahomans there in Earlsboro and even down around Seminole, again, you know, important information here with this tornado warning in effect. So again, this is in effect here for about another 30 minutes. So we'll continue to track this. And of course, you're also looking at video there on the right-hand side of your screen. That's from the tornado damage. A very similar situation. We had a brief spin up right over the Riverwind. The Riverwind has suffered damage. They're on backup power. The Love's travel stop across from the Riverwind without power damage there as well. And then there was also a semi-truck that was disabled as power poles actually fell down on the truck. So not a good situation there around the Riverwind. Again, that's on the western sides of Norman, just kind of west of town, west of I-35. Again, that's what's going on over here. Mike and Jesse, they're still on that gathering information. And then again, the same storm that did that and again produced those other tornadoes earlier today. Now it looked like another brief spin up there. And again, that was really just east of Brooksville. And that was probably 5 minutes ago. And again, we have this new tornado warning because of that brief spin up. It is easing down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that it can't, you know, again, crank back up and again, also produce more tornadic activity. And again, right now, Seminole being in the path of that, and also Earlsboro, again, there in far eastern Potawatomi County, also in the path of that storm there as well. Let's go to reflectivity. And as we kind of go back to reflectivity here, we'll kind of take another look at the overview. And so this is a better indication of what we have going on here. So you kind of see this, and this right here is more of a feature of, you know, a lot of times when you get these squall lines, these line of storms that come through, a lot of times you'll kind of get the spin ups along the leading edge. They're not long lasting tornadoes, but they're still enough to do damage. Again, like we saw there at the Riverwind, and that's most likely what we just saw there. So again, this is kind of the leading edge of the squall line, and again, kind of get that little inflow notch area of spin back in here. That's what we're seeing. And again, like I said, in general, that's tracking towards the Seminole area. So, you know, even those spin-ups, again, they can still do some damage. Now, it looks like the immediate concern, it's easing down just a little bit. But again, if you live in the Earlsboro or even the Seminole area, again, you've got to be taking those immediate tornado precautions. Let's go to velocities here again as well. And again, from velocities, it's not as great of a presentation. Again, if you look carefully here, you can actually see the area of spin, kind of that hot band right there. So that's kind of the broad mesocyclone spin there. Not super impressive, again, when you're talking about these leading edge spin-ups. It's a little bit different than kind of the hot high velocity couplets, similar to what we had earlier north of Cement. Similar to that, but again, these right here being just a little bit different. Let's go back to normal radar mode, reflectivity, and let's kind of zoom this out. We'll widen this out, and then of course we're going to check back in with Mike over there at the Riverwind, coming up again for a damage update in just a second. Let's go kind of widen everything back out and kind of take a look at what's going on. So there's the lone tornado warning just east of the Oklahoma City Metro. And yeah, as we just continue to widen this out. So it looks like far northern Oklahoma, up there around the Bartlesville area, just south of Bartlesville, severe thunderstorm warning there. That's primarily going to be for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Then we still have this bow line east of the Oklahoma City Metro. There could be some 70 to near 80-mile-per-hour winds, and those are basically pushing through Pottawatomie into portions of Seminole County. So high velocity, damaging winds possible there. And then again, as we walk further down the line down here around Stevens County and also back down around Garvin County, again, we have kind of that secondary bow line segment through there as well. So really turning into a damaging wind event now as we head into the overnight period as expected. But again, at least right now, the main concern out of everything going on, again, it's that tornado warning there for portions of Pottawatomie and Seminole County. If we can, let's go and zoom back in on that. And as we zoom back in, again, we'll kind of take another look at what we have going on. We'll just kind of take this minute by minute, and we're about to get another update from Mike there at the Riverwind Casino as well. And let's go back to the spin rate here. And as we take another look at the spin rate, so it's still easing down, but we've still got a fairly vigorous area of spin. Folks, I'm telling you, if you're in Seminole, don't take this lightly. Just like what we saw at the Riverwind Casino, as these spin up quickly, they can still do some real damage. And, so if you're in Seminole, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. Also Earlsboro as well. Can we pull this just a little bit further down to the south? Or no, I'm sorry, pull it just a little bit further to the north, just kind of ease it down just a little bit. And so really up in here, we don't necessarily have any hometowns there north of Seminole, this being Seminole County. So really the only two major hometowns in this warning, it's Earlsboro, and the area of spin now starting to kind of pull away from there a little bit. But again, Seminole right there, mainly in the direct path now of the area of spin. It's not quite as strong as it was when the tornado warning was issued, but it's still concerning. There's still a tornado warning in effect. And again, if you live in Seminole, you still need to be taking those immediate tornado precautions. I want to check back in with Mike here quickly as well. He's still out there at the Riverwind. Again, we had the brief spin-up tornado maybe an hour ago now, I-35 and Highway 9 in West Norman, directly over the Riverwind. Mike, give us a quick update on what's going on now as far as the damage and whatever else. It's a fairly fluid situation out there. Mike, if you're still on the live line, we may have lost Mike temporarily there. We may need to check back in with him in a minute. And that's what we'll do. We'll check back in with Mike coming up here again in just a second. But let's zoom that in just a little bit, because that area of spin, it is coming up just a little bit more. That area of spin is coming up just a little bit more. And let's do this. Let's go and kind of zoom this in just a little bit here. And it's tracking right over towards the Seminole area. So again, you folks there in Seminole, you absolutely need to make sure you're taking your immediate tornado precautions, again, in the Seminole area. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of move this up with height just a little bit, kind of moving the radar beam around here. And so again, as we're taking a look at the spin rate, and then we'll also go back to normal reflectivity mode here as well. And it looks like I was hearing something from Mike. Mike, if you want to go and give us a quick update with what's going on out there at the Riverwind, go ahead.
Yes, William. I'm kind of having to direct people here as well. We're kind of helping law enforcement here block the road. But again, we went through that damaged area that's just south of Riverwind. We can't get any good shots right now being nighttime, so I do apologize for that. But there's about 100-yard wide area where the trees are totally stripped clean of leaves and everything. That it looks like just big giant sticks sticking out of the ground right now. So this was a fairly intense, tight rotation tornado, it looks like, William.
Yeah, and again, that's what these brief spin-ups can do, and this is a prime example, again, why the folks out there, and again, in Seminole, where we have that new tornado warning in effect, again, need to be taking their immediate tornado precautions. Again, things, especially we say it all the time, fast-changing weather conditions in Oklahoma, it can absolutely happen. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just no doubt about it. But let's see, we're also getting some other, someone actually sent me a message. Apparently there was a Beach Boys concert at the Riverwind. So that's apparently what was going on at the Riverwind tonight as well. I had no idea, but apparently there was the Beach Boys concert out there, and so there were a lot of folks out there for that. And somebody just sent us that in over the mobile app, and so apparently that's what they had going on out there. So even besides people out there maybe just to play the slot machines or whatever else they like to do, they also had the Beach Boys out there tonight, and so there were a lot of people for that concert, again, as that tornado went through there. So as that spin-up went through there. So on the live line here with us, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my batteries here real quick. So if Mike, if you can cover me for 1 second and give us an update, I'm going to change my battery pack's going down, so I'm going to switch it out real quick here. But go ahead and keep giving us an update there from the Riverwind.
Yes, we're still out here at the Riverwind, which is going to be at Highway 9 and I-35 out here just south of Norman. It does appear that we had a brief tornado touchdown. We don't know exactly how long the damage path is, but we can say we've had and just to the south of the casino is a county road that has multiple homes on it. All the trees are stripped clean of their leaves, smaller branches. They just look like big giant twigs sticking out of the ground. We've seen damage to the casino, to the hotel side right now. Again, it looks like the Riverwind Casino has started coming down, or letting people out, sorry. It does appear that our semi may have actually been moved now. Power companies are out here right now assessing damage as well, trying to figure out how to get the power back on. So again, this is all, it happened very quickly. I kind of feel bad we didn't report. My driver thought he saw power flashes, but we couldn't confirm that we actually saw that. But that's exactly what we saw was the power flashes from this event here at the Riverwind Casino, where there's, again, tree damage, trees that are completely out of place here at the Riverwind Casino. A power pole and power line came across a semi on Highway 9 here at the Riverwind Casino. The southeast side of the hotel has lost part of its siding. Multiple windows are blown out. We didn't see too much damage to vehicles or anything like that in the parking lot. But again, lots of tree damage. Please avoid this area if you don't need to be out here. We're out here trying to help with law enforcement. The Oklahoma Natural Gas is out here now. We've got multiple power trucks out here, multiple gas trucks out here, law enforcement, of course, multiple law enforcement agencies, multiple tow trucks. This whole area is completely dark, except for the Riverwind Casino, which is running off of backup generator power at this time.
Okay, Mike, really appreciate that update right there. I also got my battery pack there changed out. We've been doing like hours and hours of live coverage, and batteries only last so long on your microphone. I just want to switch from what you're saying. I really appreciate that update, everything there at the Riverwind that you're doing, Mike. You've been doing a great job. I want to talk about quickly here the tornado warning that also continues here for the Seminole area. Not a lot of change on this. I want to go back to the spin rate. I want to go back to the spin rate. The area of spin, it's moving through Seminole right now. Now, the thing about this is there's a tornado warning in effect. You have to respect that. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. But the thing is, the area of spin, it spun up quickly. It spun up quickly there, really just south of Earlsboro, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes ago, and then it kind of eased down. It's still an area of spin, but it's not as impressive as it was just a couple minutes ago. And this is the same storm that we've been tracking from the Oklahoma-Texas border till now that has produced at least 5 tornadoes, most of them fairly quick spin-ups. I think that was probably another quick spin-up that it produced. So But even as the case, out there around the Riverwind, again, that's the same thing that happened there as well. I'm just going to turn Mike's volume there down just a little bit. I think Mike, he just didn't have his phone muted there, so I just turned down his volume real quick there. But again, that's still the same case even with this storm now, again, as it's pushing through the Seminole area. Tornado warning continues. I think the overall spin, not super impressive with it right now, but we have to continue to monitor it because these things can easily spin back up and continue to be a problem. And Mike, I got that. Sounds good. Sounds good. Mike's going to be helping some people out there at the Riverwind. He was just telling me in my ear, so he's going to be off the phone there for just a second. But again, great job, Mike and Jesse. They do such a phenomenal job. We never, when we start planning the day out with the different storm trackers, we never think they're going to end up all over the state. But Mike and Jesse always end up all over the state from start to finish. But they do a phenomenal job. There's no doubt about that. And now they're again helping some folks there at the Riverwind who need some help as well. So they're pitching in there. So that's fine. We appreciate all the reporting again that Mike has done as we've gone through the day. Let's go back to reflectivity. Let's go back to a reflectivity mode here. And what I want to do, I'm going to zoom this radar here out, and I want to take just an overview just to show everyone again exactly what's going on across Oklahoma. And I'll zoom this out just a little bit more. This is a different radar source. And so this is the squall line that we've been talking about, that we've been expecting, so to speak, over the last several days. But this is it. And again, you can see it from Kansas all the way stretching through Oklahoma down into North Texas. We had the supercell activity earlier, but as expected, everything has kind of merged and turned into one big line. And now as this really races in eastern Oklahoma, the main threat really with this line heading into the late evening into the first part of the overnight, it is going to be damaging wind gusts. I do expect several more severe thunderstorm warnings to continue along this line, and the main threat is going to be 60, 70, maybe even some 80 mile per hour damaging wind gusts. That does include the Tulsa metro, McAllister, and again, even locations like far eastern Oklahoma. That'll continue all the way over into portions of Arkansas by early tomorrow morning. So really just an active night of weather as well for our friends in eastern Oklahoma. The overall tornado threat, it is easing down some. It hasn't gone to zero. Again, we still continue at least with that one tornado warning currently in effect. But the deeper we get into the evening and the overnight, the primary concern, it's really going to be the winds. It's not even necessarily going to be the hail, but it's going to be the winds along this line. Again, this is going to be a damaging wind event, especially now for our friends over there in eastern Oklahoma. And again, as we take a closer look at this, let's go and kind of center this up just a little bit if we can, Daniel, just on that warning. This is our only tornado warning that still continues in Oklahoma, still around the Seminole area. Let's do another check of the spin rate on this storm here. And so it's still got an area of spin, but again, it's still just not as impressive. That doesn't take anything away from the tornado warning, but again, just as we analyze these in real time, we just kind of let you know what we're seeing on radar and a lot of times what our storm trackers are seeing as well. But again, as far as tornado genesis goes, it's just kind of on the lighter side of things. But again, these can spin up quickly, like we saw at the Riverwind. Also, just east of Apache, that thing spun up on Mike. I mean, in like a matter of a minute. We had just ended an update, and we couldn't even get back on fast enough before it spun up and lifted. Again, that was about 4 east of Apache again earlier this evening, 1 south of Indiahoma, and then I think just north, really just north of Cyril. There was a possible tornado, I think, for about 6 minutes. That's the only time this thing really wrapped up and I think produced for several minutes. But again, that was kind of over some open farmland. But still, even tomorrow, it'll be interesting to go back and kind of take a look even through that as well. So, but at least right now, going on 10 p.m., again, right now, the big story, again, it is this tornado warning that does continue around the Seminole area. So again, if you live in Seminole, you need to be taking your immediate tornado precautions. The area of spin basically pushing just east of town. And again, we'll see if the Weather Service does decide to go ahead and extend that warning or not. But at least right now, just based off of radar, what we're seeing, not an immediate tornado threat, again, the way it looks right now. So an area of spin, but just not really at that threshold of producing tornadic activity the way it looks now. But again, that can change again fairly quickly. Let's go back to reflectivity if we can. And here's what we're going to do. We'll just kind of take another overview. We'll just kind of widen this out, kind of take an overview. We don't have a lot of fast changing weather conditions or a lot of new information to pass along. Of course, this is Mike and Jesse. They're still there at the Riverwind. They're now helping some folks there. Apparently there was a Beach Boys concert, is what one of our viewers sent a message in and said. That's why there were so many extra people there apparently at the Riverwind tonight. And we did have a brief spin up, a brief tornado around the Riverwind area. The Riverwind did suffer some damage. The Loves across the street also suffered some damage, and then there was even a semi that was disabled on Highway 9 as power poles fell on top of it. Thank goodness that guy was able to get out, and right now reports are he was uninjured, so that is good news there. Let's go and put this into motion. And again, we're basically just kind of tracking the squall line now, again, as we head deeper into the evening. But again, not really a lot of fast changing weather conditions, not a lot of new information to pass along. Again, officially that tornado warning does continue there for Seminole County. Looks like the Weather Service, I think most likely will go ahead and let that expire, at least for right now. But again, the multiple severe thunderstorm warnings you're seeing here, it's mainly for wind. And again, we don't necessarily have to go through each one of these. It's for wind, 60, 70, possibly some 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. Again, that's going to be the general trend, again, as we head into the evening, as that line, again, pushes over into portions of eastern Oklahoma. Let's do this. I know Mike was going to help somebody. I just want to check in with him one more time and see if he has any additional information. Mike, are you still on the live line, or are you still off? I think Mike is still off the live line. But here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to take a quick break. I mean, we've been on here for really several hours now, it seems like, so we just don't have a lot of new information to pass along. We're going to continue to track everything, again, that's going on here. And of course, we'll have another live update probably here in about 10 minutes, unless otherwise warranted. But I'm going to take a quick drink. My throat's fairly dry from talking for probably like 6 hours so far tonight. So keep it here with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. Another live update here in about 10 minutes. Stay with us.